Welcome to the Pop-Off with Gene FitzMagic and friends. Your daily sports and entertainment radio show, live all over the world. You're going to want to hear what these guys have to say. With their hot takes, recaps, previews, and predictions, sometimes these guys might get along, but most times, they won't. So see what happens when these guys pop off about the world of sports and entertainment.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is May 24th, Wednesday. This is the Pop-Off. I'm Gene FitzMagic, joined by Nigel Downer, Matt Hamilton, and Caleeb Pinkett will be joining us shortly. He'll be with us very soon. And what a glorious day it is in Canada. I guess that's why we're wearing this special cap. Nigel, tell us about the cap today.
Oh my gosh, this is one of my first, man. Like one of the first that I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to get into this hat game and not even know it. So I got, I feel like this is one of the Canada Day special editions. That came out, man, it's got to be at least 7-8 years ago. So you got the like heavy duty raised stitch gold leaf there. You got the white New Era flag. Obviously on the other side, you got the AL patch that's got like the gold piping as well all around it. Then you got the Jays and the Rays batter, man, the tone on tone, the red and white, man. Look at that shit, baby. That's right there. There we go. Let's get it. And this, I'm wearing this to represent my boy, Mr. Murray, and the Denver Nuggets, which we will talk about later. But, you know, when I wear my hats, I always have to represent something specific on the pod today, and that's it. So let's go.
I know you've been a big proponent of Jamal Murray, and he's a local guy to you. So yeah. I know that's your guy right now in the playoffs. You're riding with him.
Yeah. Because
is it Canada Day? When is Canada Day?
No. Canada Day is not till
When is it? July 1st.
Yeah, we got a couple months.
Oh, so you guys try to copy off of us by getting the you try to beat us to the punch on Thanksgiving. You do that a little bit. You do your Canada Day a couple days before July 4th. Yeah, you kind of copycats, and then you try to like undercut us a little bit. I see.
Yeah, I mean it's working.
It's been fine. You guys haven't noticed up until now. We're fine.
It is working. Our country's going down the tubes, and maybe that's why.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, guys, we're gonna talk a little baseball today. We haven't talked baseball in for like forever. And you know what? Let's. I know Caleeb, it's too early to talk baseball with Caleeb. So before Caleeb gets here, maybe we should talk baseball before he gets here. He does not like to even look at the baseball standings until we get to like August. So let me talk about it now. Patty, so I'll put up some of the graphics for the standings. We're gonna talk about which first place teams are real, which ones aren't real. Like so, we got Tampa, who is on an unreal start to the season. So my question is, it's almost like, is it Morton's Steakhouse or is it McDonald's hamburger? Tampa Bay, 35-15. They're up 3 games on Baltimore, who's also off to a fantastic start from where they've been in the previous years. But let me ask you guys. We'll start over with Maddie because you guys crushed the Rays yesterday.
Yeah.
Although you did strike out on an Ephus pitch, we just discussed. But
yeah.
Other than that Ephus pitch, it was a great day for the Blue Jays. Yeah. So you scored a few runs yesterday. Are the Rays for real, or are they just on this hot streak, kind of like what the Yankees were last year, where they're going to kind of fall back to earth a little bit?
I don't know, man. Here's the thing. The last couple of years, I'm like, the Rays, no, they're no good. They trade more players. And they just, like, you look at their lineup, like Rosarina and Franco and stuff, obviously, are studs.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, sure. But they're fucking good. They're always good. Their pitching is good. I don't understand it. I honestly thought they'd be really bad this year. I thought they'd be not really bad.
Every year you think that they take a step back because whoever's really good that year usually gets traded off in the offseason.
Yeah, and like Snell and all this stuff. And Glasnow hasn't even like pitched this year. Like he's back on Sunday. And I don't understand it. Honestly, I don't understand. I don't know if they're for real or not. I can't believe they're this good. I thought they would be 4th or 5th in the division. Mm-hmm. And they had the best start in like Major League history for the first month of the season. So I don't know what to say. Counting them out, it seems really stupid right now, but I'm going to because the Jays need to make the playoffs. So
well, they're also on an impossible run to be able to keep. I mean, the Yankees were on a similar run last year. Everyone was like, "Wow, they're going to be better than the '98 team," which was never really accurate. They were never that good. They just maybe won a few games against teams.
Fuck the Yankees.
Well, I mean, let's not. Let's not be crass about it. They are the.
That's all I do. That's all I do is be crass about things. You should know this by now.
But I mean, the Yankees are the cream of the crop when it comes to the MLB. I mean, they are the team. So, I mean, you could pick on us all you want this year where it's not really lining up right, but we'll probably be there in the end because we'll make the moves we need to make.
You're still doing all right.
Yeah, I
doing
mean,
the classic New York overreaction, but
yeah, that's the thing too. We were in last place, even though we had probably a better record than some first place teams in the league. Still, we were in last place, so there was a little bit of a scare in New York where everybody went a little nuts, hit that panic button. But then again, it's only May, so we still have more than half the baseball season to go.
Also, our division is
tough,
screwed. Let me put. I'll do one for the kids there.
Yeah,
like, it's stupid. Like Boston's even good this year. It's like what?
And so is Baltimore. Baltimore hasn't been good since.
Baltimore looks good, really good.
They're actually playing really well. They're only three as good of a start as the Rays have had. They're only 3 games behind, which says something too. So I think they might actually have the second best record in baseball. Actually, if I read that correctly, of all of baseball. So
yeah, that makes sense. And then you look at a division like the Central Division, and it's not what all those teams will be behind the teams in the AL East.
In both Central Divisions, really, because the Brewers are in first place in there. We'll get to the Brewers in a minute. So, Nigel, what's your take on the Rays, man? Is this for real? Are they the team that's going to be there in the end of the season? Are they going to be the ones standing?
I'm going to say this. 1, yes, they'll be there at the end of the season. 2, I want to touch on what you guys just mentioned. I want to bring it back because my real stating point is that this division is one of the hardest in baseball, and it has been from time. Like, this is the East Division, specifically American League East, and it is stacked with teams. Every team right now, like to date, has a winning record, regardless if it's by 3 or not, in that one division, man. Like it's so right there, it's always tough. You're always going to have at least 1 or 2 teams coming out of that for the playoffs. So I think they're probably legit. But again, for me, man, baseball is just so long. So right now we're kind of just throwing stuff into the wind and seeing what throwing stuff against the wall, seeing what sticks. But I think I hope Tampa Bay's there because they've had a tough like decade. You know what I mean? Like people aren't showing up, and I will say this: I did. We mentioned this a while ago when I was in Boston last week, and I got to catch a Red Sox game. Wow, I
didn't know you hit Fenway, huh?
Yeah, I went to Fenway.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was fantastic. That showing was bad. And they did not show up. They're playing Seattle, and they were rough to watch. But the Fenway's Fenway, bro. So it was good.
Fenway.
Did you see the when Kevin Kiermaier had they honored him? They had the standing ovation in Tampa.
No.
They showed he's doing this whole thing as they're cheering. There's 2,000 fans in the stands. They're doing this, and there's empty seats, and there's a couple fans clapping and shit.
Told you, Tampa Bay's a wreck, man. They've been like that for a while.
And they get the best team in baseball, and that's a shame. It should not be that way.
There's nobody going to the games. Get the team out of there.
I've been saying that for years. I'd love to see them move the team to Orlando, move them a little bit further, a little further east, move them to Orlando and see. They got playing facilities there. They could put them in.
They need a real field, everyone to a man.
It looks like
in the major leagues.
It looks like the baseball field version of Old Veterans Stadium in Philly. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Remember how ugly that stadium was? That's what it looks like to me. It looks like legit carpet. It doesn't even look like fake grass. It looks like actual shag carpet. All right, so let's move over to the Central. The Twins, 25-24. They're up 2.5 on Detroit, who is horrible themselves. Does it even matter in this division who might be for real or who might not be? Someone's going to make it, but that's because only by default, really. It's my personal opinion on the AL Central. Nigel?
Yeah, I would love to see Detroit for the fact that Comerica Park is another beautiful stadium. And just I just like the rep of the team, but they're also they've been in bad ways for 5-6 seasons now. The Twins, I don't know, man. Who cares? I hate to be that guy, but I mean, that division's very lackluster. They're not flashy.
After Sonny Gray and Byron Buxton, I couldn't even name another twin, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure I can if I really think about
Carlos
it.
Correa.
All right. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, but he's kind of he's having a
their starting pitching has saved their ass because they can't hit for shit. Almost everyone to a man. Polanco's having a pretty good year, but almost everyone to a man on Minnesota is having a brutal year. Correa's hitting 210. Buxton's. I mean, he's got 10 jacks, but he's not hitting very well. He's a stud, but he's coming back from an injury, so I think he'll get it going. Joey Gallo 200, which is not actually abnormal for Joey Gallo.
I mean, and he's having a better year than he's had the last few years, though. Compared to, he actually hit a home run against the Yankees, which was and we.
He's got 11 pops So
I
that's pretty
mean,
good.
he's hitting the ball. He's hitting the long ball. Which
If
is
you look at
he can always do that.
Yeah, if you look at their stats, you go, okay, this is definitely not a first place team.
Oh, of course,
it's rough.
But that's how the AL Central is, and I feel like the Central teams are always that way. I don't know if it's just because it's like those are the small market teams, but I feel like they're even in the NL. They're usually, unless the Cardinals are popping, it's usually like a rough year in both those divisions.
Yeah.
But let's head over to the other division in the AL, the last division in the AL. Texas in first place, 30-18. They were up 2 games on Houston, which I think is a little bit surprising. I don't think people expected Houston to have such a rough start as they had this year. They had kind of a late start as far as getting it going. I think at the end of the year, I think Houston takes that out. I don't think Texas is for real. I just don't trust them. I think once the heat comes in and Texas gets that stadium gets hot, you're going to see the balls fly out of that ballpark for the away team just as much as the home team. I don't think I could see this team falling back into even like third place.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure with the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, and the Blue Jays, I haven't been watching much other baseball, but I follow it a little bit. But I mean, Texas has like $280 million payroll or something like that.
They got some players there. I just feel like I just don't trust Texas. I feel like they've always put money into that into their ball club. They've always done that. It's like even last year, a lot of those guys they signed last year. They just never really seem to put together winning teams. And the pitching, I feel like the pitching always goes there, and they never really pitch well.
Yeah. How is I'm gonna look it up right now. How is what's his face doing there?
The former Met
DeGrom. Yeah.
Patty could maybe look that up for us. Give us a little
2.67 ERA, 6 starts. Oh, so he's been. Oh yeah, because he was hurt. Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's good, but will he keep it up? Remember, he's a guy who always has injury concerns.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he only has about 20 starts this year. Really, when it's
I kind of like. I mean, it's hard to bet against Houston, right? And it's hard to trust the Angels. The Angels are a couple games back.
Angels always let you down, but they have 2 generational talents. They have.
I want to see them in the playoffs just for that, like
for sure. Shohei Ohtani and Steve Trout and Mike Trout.
Steve Trout.
Mike
Trout's cousin.
Is Steve Trout the old ball player from like the 70s that I'm thinking of?
I have no idea what you're thinking of. I think you woke up a little.
Maybe.
This division has the fucking Oakland Athletics in it, so that's
they're a minor league team right now.
They're minus 178 in 50 games this year.
They're as bad as it gets. Well, they found a possum living in the in one of the booths. So I mean, like they can't even get rodent control taken care of. How hard is it to find a possum and get it out of the stadium? But they seem to not be able to find this possum. Nigel, what do you think is going on in the West? Texas for real?
No, I don't think so. I think it'll go back to Houston because I don't believe. I mean, listen, baseball is my forte, but I don't believe Houston made a lot of moves from their championship winning team from last year, right?
They added some young. They let some guys go. Verlander left, but they brought in some young guys who were pitching well. Like Hunter Brown's pitching really well for them. It's not like they brought in some guys that are just scrubs. They brought in like the young talent that was ready to come up. It's one of the reasons why they let Verlander go.
Right.
Otherwise they probably would have tried to keep Verlander. They didn't really put too much of a fight to keep him. They let him go to the Mets. Because they knew they had these young kids coming up.
$50 million.
It is, but also if you need him, you need him, right? I feel like they thought they didn't need him because they have Hunter Brown coming up. They have some other young pitching coming up. And I think they're going to be just fine. I think they had a little bit of a rough start. That's what happens when you add some young talent to your team. I think they're going to be the team that's going to be standing in that division. I don't think Texas is for real. Again, I think Texas can fall back into third place. I think the Angels, you never know, they make a move or two at the trade deadline. I mean, they spend a ton of money too, and they just never seem to get it together. I'm hoping, like Matt said, this is the year that they actually get it together, so we can see Shohei Ohtani in the postseason. Otherwise, listen, if they don't enter the postseason this year, I can't imagine him not leaving at the end of the season. He's gonna walk at the end of the season because it's now here it is. He hasn't even sniffed the postseason yet, right? He hasn't been there yet, has he? Am I missing a year?
No, Ohtani.
So yeah, he hasn't been part of the postseason yet. So there you go. And
Mike Trout's only been there once.
So there you go. He's been in the league for 4 years. So I think if they don't get into the postseason, they got to do whatever they can because if they don't, I think he's definitely going. They need to improve that team.
How about this stat for Houston? Jose Abreu, who they signed in the offseason to be the first baseman, he has played 47 games. He has 0 home runs.
I didn't even realize he has 0 home runs. Wow.
0. You know how I know that? Because I had him on my fantasy team for about 3 weeks, and I dropped him. He has 0 home runs and 17 RBIs.
That would be a rough start, my friend. He's a home run hitter, so to not hit a home run, and listen, it's not hard to hit runs in Houston. Houston is a smaller ballpark.
Yeah, and they, as a team, they're not hitting home runs. Like Alvarez, who's a beast, he's been good, but everyone
Altuve just came back. Altuve's been injured too, so
Altuve's been hurt, but he's got 6 or 7. Bregman only has 6 or 7.
I hate Bregman. I hate him.
Yeah,
I hate Tatum.
I guess Abreu had only 15 home runs last year, but he hit 300. But yeah, look at the previous years. It's like 30, what equates to in that shortened year, about 38, 33. Yeah, that's not good. No. Not good, Jim.
No, it's not. All right, so let's move to the NL, man. Braves 29-19. They're up 4.5 on the Mets. I do think the Braves are for real. I think they stay in first place the whole year. I don't think we got to worry about them. The Mets will put up a little bit of fight. I think they're going to get better as the season goes. There's too much money into that team. I think they'll and that owner's willing to spend, so they'll make moves at the trade deadline. I think Philadelphia also is a team that'll have a good second half of the year. Miami's not. They're in third right now. There's no.
I like seeing them there though. I like them.
It's nice. It's nice to see it as a change of pace, right? Listen, I hate the Mets, so I wouldn't mind seeing the Mets fall back. But I do think that they will give the Braves a little bit of a run. But I do think the Braves stay where they're at. I don't think they lose first place. That's too good of a young team. Ronald Acuna might be the best ball player in the league. If he's not, he's definitely top 3. But he's one of the most exciting guys.
He's having a year.
Oh, he is. I mean, he's not really hitting as many home runs as I think people would have liked. I think he's on pace for like 30 something.
He's got 11 home runs. That's a 35 home run pace.
No, which is nice. I mean, he's not going to hit like 40 or 50 bombs. I think like most people like to see in their star players. You know what I mean? Like
he's got 20 stolen bases.
He's got 20 stolen bases.
His OPS over 1,000. He's banging.
Like he's hitting the ball. He's just not hitting. He's not hitting as many home runs as some of the other guys.
Austin Riley's only got 7 jacks. That's a bit surprising.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about the Braves? Do you think the Braves hold on to first? You think they? You think they get? What about you, Knife?
Yeah. It feels like they're hardcore enough. It feels like they'll do it. I mean, it's a shame to see Philly so low, and it's a shame to see Washington like just evaporated. Like they're just
they won the title and they kind of like sold out.
Yeah, that club has just disappeared. Yeah. I think what I would love to see is the Mets kind of give the Yankees a little bit of a run. Like give us that.
I mean the Braves.
Yeah. Like, but no. I mean the Yankees because I mean like in terms of the fan base and just like the culture. You know what I mean?
They're the little brothers.
Yeah, because it was like the same thing when we had going to NBA, Golden State and like in Sacramento, right? Like I like that kind of thing. So it'd be nice to see those two teams really like heading up their divisions.
I hate the Mets. Just in case you don't, I hate the Mets. Actually, no, I hate Mets fans. So if there's any Mets fans watching, I hate you. Mets fans. I don't necessarily hate the Mets players. It's the fans that I can't stand on teams that I don't like. Same thing with the Giants. I don't hate the Giants. I hate Giants fans.
Got it.
In the NFL. All right, so let's move on to the Brewers. Brewers 26-22. Pitt is only, Pitt had a tremendous start to the season. I think they're going to fall back. I don't think Pitt's going to be really contending too much. I could see maybe St. Louis snapping out of it and stacking some wins. I think the Cubs I don't think the Cubs will be there. I think this is Milwaukee's division to lose just because I don't think the other teams here really have much to offer. Nigel, what's your take in the NL Central?
Well, look, man, I'm a Pitt guy, right? Like, I mean, that's just how I roll, man. I'm a Steelers guy.
You even like the Pirates a little bit.
I mean, I do a little bit, but I think that's just by proxy because their stadium was right beside. It was Heinz, but now it's whatever the corporate
PNC Park, right?
Yeah, but the corporate jargon that's taken over Heinz. But yeah, PNC Park is gorgeous. That's another one that's just like
I've never been, but I've heard people tell me that's like their top 5 baseball park in the league.
Easily. I like this division, man. I would love to see Pitt rise up, but I think you're right. I think they'll probably just kind of peter out a little bit. Who'd you say was leading this one?
It's Brewers are in first place right now.
Oh yeah, Brewers. Yeah,
only by a game. They're not. Remember Pittsburgh had a hold on this division early on, and the Brewers kind of just came up and just kind of took the division back.
Yeah. So I mean, for the sake of having a new face in that division, like rise up. Like, yeah, give me the Brewers or Pitt, man. Like, both of those teams are deserving of that from time. Like, they both need something.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, Brewers for real?
I kind of like the Cards to kind of sort their shit out there. I don't know if I trust.
They always seem to.
Yeah, I mean they went through that streak where they lost like 13 in a row or something like that.
Yeah.
But they've kind of turned around a little bit. I like their lineup. Pittsburgh's a good story. That'd be fun if they got in or up there.
Whenever Pittsburgh does play well, it is fun because they're never good. So when they are good every once in a while, remember a few years ago when they had McCutchen and they had a nice run for a couple of years, they were like the darlings of the league because they're never there. So I agree. If they can keep this sustained a little bit, they could be one of the darlings of the NL again.
Yeah, I think the Cubs are probably 2 years away from being really competitive enough to make the playoffs.
And the Reds are still in the middle of a rebuild.
Yeah, the Reds are trash, but hopefully, because what's his face, our boy Nigel Joey Votto, he's out till when?
Oh, I didn't even know he was injured, man. Really?
Caleb's in the house.
Oh, look who shows up! Whenever you're ready, bro. We already talked the Blue Jays.
I told him, I said, listen, Caleb's not ready to talk baseball until August, so let's get the baseball segment out of the way as we get here. So when we finish in one moment, you can sit tight.
It sounds like between what Caleb would have brought and what Matt has brought, I'm definitely in the middle, just like barely treading water with some commentary.
How's everybody doing?
My quick point is I hope Votto comes back and he's kind of good, and then so we can trade for him, the Blue Jays. Because Brandon Belt's not really working out that much. He's been okay lately, actually, but Votto on the Jays in his last year would be kind of a nice thing.
Is he a Toronto guy?
He's an Ontario boy.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go.
There you go.
All right, and brings us to the last division, the NL West. Dodgers are up 1.5 over Arizona. But you know what? Like, listen, San Diego is underwhelming right now. They should be better than that. San Francisco is underwhelming. They should be better than that. I think the one team that shocks a little bit in this division is Arizona's playing so well. I didn't expect Arizona. I thought that was the last place team in this division. Obviously, I'm sorry. I left out the Rockies. Rockies are in last place. They're the one team that's actually playing like where they should be playing. Is in last place. Do the Dodgers hold on to this division? Are the Dodgers for real?
Yeah. Ooh, I don't know, man. I hope they are because was it last season or the season before where they made a real nice run.
It seems like they had. Yeah, they won a couple years ago.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Right.
So a real nice run.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The nicest run, actually.
Yeah.
Them and then who'd you say was? Oh yeah, Arizona was second, right?
Arizona's second right now. Yeah.
I love.
Good young team.
Yeah, I love that these other teams are coming up. And again, I know we're only like 50-ish games into the season.
About that, yeah.
So we got like 350 to go. So I mean, it'd be nice to just like get these fresh new teams in there in the playoffs. Because some of those teams, I mean, some of those are my best hats, man. Like you guys aren't even ready for my COVID Pirates hat. You don't even know what that is.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you don't even know what that is.
It's got a vaccine syringe on the side, right?
Well, I mean, it's close.
I'll tell you what. The Padres have spent a ton of money. I would be surprised if the Padres don't make a run at some point. They're spending too much money to be in second to last place in that division.
What a disaster that would be if they.
And it's a shame because they're a team that never spent money before. They finally spend money and they can't win.
Juan Soto has been a fucking huge letdown since coming to that team.
He has, for sure.
Like you cannot give that guy a big ticket when you have all these other guys with big.
He's going to get one though. He's going to get it from someone.
Yeah, but you can't. I don't think the Padres can do it because they already have Bogarts and they have Machado and they have who else do they have with big tickets?
Oh, the kid
Tatis.
Yeah, Tatis. Just come up with suspension, and they got some good pitching there too. Don't get me wrong; like they spent money on pitching too. Musgrove and who's the kid from Japan? I'm blanking on his name.
Right, yeah. The Jays were in on him and didn't get him.
Yeah, Well, Toronto, San Diego, pick where you want to play. There you go.
How dare you?
I'm just saying, come on, San Diego is far superior weather-wise and lifestyle-wise.
It is very nice. I'll say that.
There you go. So you know what? We won't bore Caleeb anymore. Let's get into some basketball stuff, guys. Ready?
Caleeb's like, I could have spent another 10 minutes not doing this.
All right, guys. Nuggets complete the sweep, beating the Lakers 113-111. Who's surprised that I'm not even talking about game 4. I think by game 4 we all kind of knew, at minimum, maybe at most the Lakers were going to be able to get a game out of this, and they almost did. They came down to a block on that last possession. LeBron had the ball twice at the end, hits the side of the backboard, and then gets blocked. But are we surprised that this was a sweep? Like, who could have guessed this was a sweep from the beginning? Caleeb, since you are coming in late, let's start with you.
Well, I picked the Lakers in 6, so I was completely off. So, yeah, I definitely didn't see a sweep happening. I thought LeBron and AD and them were going to be able to do it. And Jokic and Jamal Murray said, "Au contraire, mon frère." So that's what happened right there. I think the Nuggets probably will win it. I think the Lakers they have to figure out what they're going to do. As far as, LeBron's coming back. I hear everybody out here in LA is like, oh my God, he said he has a thing. It's like, oh goodness, he's absolutely coming back. So that's not a thing. They just have to figure out what they're going to do. The West is going to be stronger next year. They overperformed. So it's not a failed season for them.
No,
it's actually a good season, a very good season compared to where they were. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I think, Jokic proved he's the best in the world right now. Jamal Murray is a strong Robin. You know what I mean? And I've been doing my Marvel dive yesterday. I did a Marvel dive for you, Nigel, so I could figure out there's so many different Robins. I didn't even know Batman had a son that played Robin that died and all kind of stuff. Like,
I didn't know it either.
Duh.
Yeah.
Of course.
But also,
what I mean is,
yeah. Also, you're mixing properties because you're talking DC stuff. The Batman and Robin is from DC, and then Marvel.
Right, you see?
Marvel.
But
You're trying.
But I
appreciate you.
I'm doing this for my man Nigel because he always has the great references. But what I will say is, I think Murray is that guy, and it's going to be very difficult for Jimmy Buckets to beat that team. Like, because I think they're going to beat Boston. I would be, if Boston can win 4 straight, it would be like, I don't know, but I'm gonna lie on the side of no. It's in the NBA, it's 0 to 150 losses. Like, every team has been in the playoffs, and the game 7 that was down 0-3. 150 teams have lost, 0 have won. So we shall see. But if Buckets and them win, I think it's gonna be very hard to defeat that duo, that dynamic duo in Mile High in Denver.
What about you, Nudge? What's your takeaway from the Nuggets Lakers? Who did you have in the series to begin with? Did you have Nuggets?
I think I went Nuggets in 5, maybe.
Yeah, you do the same as me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys both had Nuggets in 5. Okay.
Yeah, so we're a little closer, but I thought the Lakers would have put up a little bit more of a fight. Not that they didn't. They did. They just didn't have enough. And it's so crazy to see when you look at the players on the team, at least some of them anyway. And you just think they would have been able to handle them a little bit more. Yeah, like James and Schroeder even coming off the bench, but still, and Davis as well. But it's just such a true testament to what the Nuggets have done all season and will continue to do in terms of a cohesive team. It's been a while since we've seen a team play this well all together and bring this kind of energy in every game. They just were not going to lose. They were not going to lose. And to your point, Gene, you were saying, it looked like the Lakers were going to do something, but they just couldn't. They couldn't finish out. They just couldn't, man. The will was so much stronger than the Nuggets, and I think that's what's going to propel them. To Caleeb's point, when they do eventually meet the Heat, because I know we're going to talk about it, but I can't, man. I can't with the Celtics. I can't. But when they do meet, guys, I tried to watch last night, and I was starting to multitask because I was like, no, I don't even care. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. But my last point is that when the Nuggets meet the Heat, it's going to be a great final. It's going to be an amazing final. I think that will go a little longer. I think that will probably go 6, maybe even the distance of 7. But it's going to be a real battle. I think this one's going to be really exhaustive, and we're really going to find out what the Nuggets are made of, and even what the Heat have left in the tank. But I digress. Super impressed with the Nuggets. Super impressed.
The Lakers, they should have won game 2, and they could have won game 4, right? They were up almost the whole game of game 2 and lost in that fourth quarter. In that fourth quarter when Jamal Murray went nuts. Jamal Murray had maybe the best quarter in basketball this postseason. And then they should have won game 4. Like they were close enough. They got down there at the stretch. Right at the half. Yeah, especially. I mean, really look at it that way. But even at the end of the game, they had a chance to really make something happen, and they couldn't. Let me ask you this, Matt: if they would have held on to game 2 and won game 2, is this a different series? Besides, is this a 4-1 series, or does the Lakers? Does that give something to the Lakers team where they're able to propel that into possibly even winning the series?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think Denver was just too much. They have too many options, and like LeBron looked gassed.
He did
at the end of this series, and he was great. But I mean, he's
40 points at the end.
38. He had a great game. The second half they kind of shut him down, but he also, how many minutes did he play? 48 minutes. Yeah. He was absolutely gassed. He didn't hit a 3 in the second half. He didn't really have an answer. He was trying. They played good defense on those last couple. The shot was obviously not. The one off the side of the backboard is not kind of what you want. All the Jordan hate or all the LeBron haters Jordan would never do that. But
peak LeBron would have made that. Sorry to interrupt because I feel what you're saying though, Matty. I just think peak LeBron would have made that shot.
I agree.
9 times out of 10.
Well, maybe, but
but I agree with you. I agree.
Energy. But Trae Young read the play very well. Or Trae Young, Jamal Murray read the play very well and played good D on it. But it wasn't great. But they just the Lakers just D'Angelo Russell, they just couldn't even play him the last couple games. He's supposed to be a difference maker.
You couldn't listen. They brought him here to be something.
Look at those 4 games. If he said D'Angelo Russell 25 points, you're like, okay, good. That's good game. That's what we need out of him. It's like no, for the entire series combined. That's what he had. Yeah, 25 points.
He's a disgrace to that trade that they brought him in for.
Not really, because they got rid of Westbrook.
They were going to get rid of Westbrook either way. If they couldn't find a person to take him, they would have just. I'm sure they would have just bought him out. Yeah, they would have just cut him and bought him out. I'm assuming, but I think they looked at bringing him in. He was going to be something that was going to help LeBron in this. That's the thing, and that's why, and that's what you talk about. When Nigel said peak LeBron would have hit that, he's right. When you shoot with your legs just as much as you shoot with your hands, right, and your arms. His legs were shot by the end of that series. He's been on the court.
He couldn't get
40 minutes, 48 minutes in that game. That was the 48th minute, right? When that happened. It was literally the 48th minute of a game where you don't expect your 38-year-old player to have to play. You work the game so you don't have to have him play 48 minutes. And unfortunately, they needed him all 48 minutes. And one of the reasons why, is one of the guys you brought in here mid-season on a trade to depend on, D'Angelo Russell, was a no-show. I put it up real quick. Do you have the plus and minus, Pat? His plus minus. Oh, we don't have the plus minus on this one. All right. I don't know what the numbers. I don't want to quote the number offhand, but it was horrendously bad. His plus minus was horrendously low. So he's someone that even not only was he not scoring, he was just not playing good defense. He wasn't doing anything. There was no reason for him to be in this series for LA. And I would say if you're gonna say who's the GOAT, not greatest of all time, GOAT meaning who's the one that lost this series, it's got to be D'Angelo Russell blew this series for the Lakers. LeBron left everything on the court. LeBron left everything he had, every ounce of him on that court. And
Davis played really well. Davis played well.
Played well. Reeves played really well too. Reeves who had a lackluster series the series before.
Changed his life with that series.
He most certainly did.
He's going to get a crazy deal. The Lakers are going to have to pay money to keep him. They're going to free up over $30 million. I don't know if they're going to try to get my boy Kyrie. I'm not a Kyrie hater. I love Kyrie. But it just depends if he can mesh well with that team. But anytime you show up to the game and you giving LeBron the old school, just me and you handshake on the sideline, I'm like, might be coming to LA. You know how they do that thing.
Yep.
LeBron, Caleb, when we meet up, we're doing that handshake. We're making sure we do that. What's up, bro? Just there. We're just
that's almost as bad as 2 white guys thinking they're down trying to do it.
It's just It's hilarious, but LeBron's got it. It's got the up hand and the double.
Yeah.
I mean, LeBron's got so many special handshakes with so many players in the league. I don't know how he remembers them all. And they're not like simple 1 2 moves.
No.
It's like they take about 60 seconds
movements.
I don't know how
to
to
a
remember them all.
rhythm. And he went from high school to the NBA, so he didn't even pledge. He didn't even go to college to join the fraternity.
True.
That's where you have this stuff. Like, it's insane. But I digress. The point is, though, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. D'Angelo's making over $30 million, and to score 25 points total in a conference final, you're out of here.
Yep.
Like, there's no need for that. Like,
poor
there's
defense. Not only did not score,
defense.
everything was off.
Yeah,
So.
it was just horrendous. So, the Lakers got some things, but they got a good team. I just don't think LeBron can be what he used to be anymore. They can't expect that. They were still acting as if he could still do it. And I get it. He's Superman, meaning he's 38, still playing 48 minutes. He can't be your number one guy anymore. You shouldn't want that. You know what I mean? So
100%.
So they gotta make those adjustments. But real quick, I gotta go on this quick tangent. So look, guys, I saw The Flash last night. I took my daughter to go see The Flash. Amazing. It was so good. Like, I really, really liked it. That's what got me into more of the DC stuff.
Oh.
I got to tell you, Nigel, I'm watching it. And, I mean, they got the most craziest action sequences in the world just going on. All these meta-humans and superheroes and all this stuff. And I'm like, yo, what would it – the worst city to live in the world if you're just a human is Gotham. Yeah. Everywhere you go, there's shootouts going on, Joker's coming through, bombs happening, and you're
the worst crime rate in Chicago.
Yeah, you're just living a normal life. It's hilarious. That's what they need to do. They need to do a show about a normal human in Gotham and what it's like to just be normal.
I'll tell you what, I think we got Caleb. I think you just got Chicago's new tagline for tourism. Hey, we're not as bad as Gotham.
Yeah, it's literally. It was insane, like the stuff that was happening. But anyway, it's a great movie. You guys should check it out when it comes out.
I'm looking forward to it.
But yeah, man, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens this offseason with the Lakers. LeBron's definitely not retiring, though.
We're going to talk about that in a minute. I agree. I don't think he is either. And we'll talk about what maybe some of his comments meant in a little bit. But before we get to that, guys, Jokic wins the MVP of the Western Conference Finals. Agree or disagree? Should that have been Murray, or do you agree?
Yeah. Of course.
No one thought Murray.
No.
I don't know. Murray, that game 2, man. I mean,
Murray did it.
Legendary.
No.
Listen, Jokic, this guy averaged a triple-double in 3 of the 4 games or something. Like, his stats are unreal. Like, he was literally destroyed. I agree with you about Murray, obviously. But that is just a true testament of like when knowing somebody is hot and just keep feeding them the ball. That's all there is to it, right? And it's let him have his day. But cohesively all together, the Joker is the one that kept that team running, man.
Everybody agree?
Yeah. He opened everything. He opened up everything up for He was incredible, dude.
Yeah.
He was incredible.
Awesome to watch.
Listen, if they were a rock band, he's the drums. Everything goes with the
heartbeat. Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. If it was a jazz band, he'd be the bass. There's nothing without it. Everything goes off of that. That's how you can describe Jokic as to why he deserves that MVP over Murray, who, like a lead singer, has his favorite song and comes out and kills it. But yet and still, we right here.
Murray might be the face because he's a pretty boy. He might be the face in the album cover, but like,
he's wearing leather pants with no drawers, all that. Go
ahead. The assless chaps.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you a question too, because I saw Colin Cowherd. I was watching him the other day, and they equated this Denver Nugget team to the great Spurs teams, and they made a lot of great references, almost equating Tim Duncan to or Jokic to Tim Duncan.
1,000%.
Not flashy. They don't do really things. Nothing flashy. Nothing that makes you say, "Oh, well, look at this flashy team." But they just win consistently. A little boring, but who cares? They play today. They win today. And I never thought about it until they said it. I'm like, that's like almost like deadly accurate.
Yeah. I think that I had mentioned the golden era of Chicago, of the Bulls. And then I think Caleb was like, yeah, even more so. And I think Caleb actually said the Spurs of that, day. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Yeah.
Because, so maybe Colin Curtin was watching and took Caleeb's point.
Well, I don't know, maybe, but it's obvious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to me, remember when Tim Duncan would play, they coined this phrase. Oh, Duncan had a quiet double, a quiet triple-double, a quiet 40. Yeah. That means it's so boring, you're not paying attention that kept going in, kept going, right? That's what Jokic does. It's a quiet triple-double. You wouldn't know he had a triple-double if SportsCenter didn't keep repeating it, because you're like, when did Jokic score 30? Yeah, I don't remember that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like that. He has quiet 40-point games, which is insane.
Yeah. And the funniest part is he'll have a 40-point game, but he'll also have 15 assists and 20 boards at the same time.
That's my point.
So, like, is he better than Tim Duncan?
Yeah. Oh.
Well, Tim Duncan was way better defensively.
Yes.
Defensively, yes.
Yes, because he can do more. And not just I'm talking about offensively. I'm going to just go offensively. What Duncan couldn't do, that Jokic could do, bring the ball up court like a point guard and dish it. Yeah. Jokic is a way better passer and way better ball handler. Defensively, it's a wash, like it could be whatever, but where they separate, in my opinion, is Jokic's ability with the ball in his hand. He literally can run point.
Yeah.
And he's a way better shooter. He can hit, you saw him. He hit three-pointers like Larry Bird, like World Be Free. Used to shoot like this.
Got one shot over Davis, man, and like and then it gave you the POV of like showing the Joker and Davis, and Davis was trying his best not to be like.
It was good defense.
Like, it was amazing defense.
Another one, game 4.
He play it better.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He did another one, game 4. He kind of just went like this, not even looking, and it went in.
Yeah.
So
to answer your question, yes, tentatively, yes, he's better, but he can just do more. To say he's better than Tim Duncan is disrespect when Jokic doesn't even have a ring yet, and Duncan has 5.
That's a great point. And to Matt's point too,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And to Matt's point too, Duncan was just when it came to defense. Not Jokic is a slouch on defense, but Duncan was far superior, I feel, on defense. So
Jokic's defensive stats are very bad.
Right.
But he makes up for it so many other ways. I think you can
he does. I'm just saying, like, and at least he's no slouch on defense. He kind of is a slouch on defense. Maybe. But it's fine. It's fine because you know what? He's going to get you 25 points, 16 boards, and 10 assists.
Well, the boards are the important part too, though. As long as he's getting those rebounds too, that kind of helps. That still helps swing things around. So
yeah.
All right. What else? Celtics stay alive, beating the Heat 116-99. Are we surprised with this?
Start with me.
Yes.
Start with me.
Nigel.
Start with me. I just want to get this over with. I just want to get this over with because watching it last night was, for me, it was just so painful because it just the Celtics had to dig even deeper than humanly possible to generate anything, and it was very tough to watch it because Miami should have finished them off. They should have won that game. The Celtics just got momentum. They got it at the right time, and the Heat just could not finish out, man. And it's tough to watch a team that you know is dead to rights, dead man walking. We know this is going to happen, and to see them, they didn't. It's a good thing they didn't act like, boisterous, like they won the championship or they won the East yet. It's a good thing they did that because they have to fly back to Boston anyway. It didn't matter if they won or lost. They still have to fly back to Boston. So it's like they're going to go back to Boston. And then what's going to happen? I don't know, like Buckets is going to be doing the same thing LeBron was doing when they were rehearsing or going over the Western Conference Championship when the visiting team wins. That's what's going to happen. Buckets is just going to be practicing on one side of the court, and then all the media, they're going to do their thing on the other side of the court because it's a wrap. If Boston potentially can take this momentum and win in Boston this next game, but then that's it though. There's no way they can claw back and win 4 in a row. They're not that team. We know that. I'm tired, man. Let's just get to the finals already. Damn all.
And Tatum, that fake ass superstar Tatum, to me, he's not a superstar. Had a big game yesterday, but he always has the big game when it doesn't matter. It's like the guy who hits the home run when they're down 10.
Elimination.
It matters to an extent, but they're not. It matters. Elimination when it's 3-3, elimination when it's 3-2, but elimination when it's 3-0, and you don't have a shot at really coming back in this thing. Listen, if he does this the next 3 games and they actually get to a game 7, I will give him credit. I will get on the show and I will say I am now a devotee.
No, you have to wear a Tatum. You have to wear a Tatum jersey.
I like
and
that.
You have to fade. You have to do your hair like Tatum's. You got to fade it. You got to you got to edge it. You got to do everything. You got to put gel in it. You got to do the whole shebang.
All right.
But listen, I'll say one thing and then I'll let Matt jump in. What they did show last night on ESPN when they're showing the game, A-Rod and Jeter were both there.
Yeah.
And it's Miami playing the Celtics, and the Celtics win. And they put them both on screen, and they said those 2 guys know about Boston teams coming back from 03. Then they showed the Red Sox in 2004.
I saw that.
Come all the way back and beat the Yankees 4 in a row. That was the most impossible
I'm gonna
thing
need a minute, guys.
I've ever saw in my life. All I'm saying is to imagine if it happened again. Because I will say this. We know those guys. I agree with Nigel. They can't because I don't think they have it in here. But when it comes to the ability, they got it. Oh, they do. They're a way better team. They're just not playing like it. So who knows? But if it happened, it'd be the greatest day of my life. Because I'm gonna send Gene a new Tatum jersey. I'm gonna send him a Tatum poster. I'm gonna call every favor in the world to just get to Jason. Like, sign this for Gene.
I would design a hat. I would design a Tatum hat, custom 1 of 1. I'll send it.
I'll tell you what. Listen, he will prove me wrong, but I'll tell you what. I want to thank Caleeb for giving me the agita of reliving 2004 again. The worst sports experience I've ever had to endure was the 04 Yankees losing.
No, dude. But remember, Gene, how impossible was it?
It was impossible.
When it was 03, Yankees got. I mean, it was over.
Dude, we were up 3-0, and I watched game 3. We won the game 3, and my daughter, who was just an infant, she was only 2 years old at the time. Not an infant, but she was little. She was 2 years old at the time, and I was picking her up from my mother's house because I was watching the game out, and I was saying, "We're going to the World Series, Angie. We're going to the World Series." And we were singing. She's singing along like as a 2-year-old was singing. I forget what it was. We were singing some song about the Yankees going to the World Series, something we just made up in the car, and then. Little did I know we wouldn't win another game in that series, and that would be it. And it was the worst experience I've ever dealt with. Here's the difference. Can I tell you the difference between that Yankee team and this Miami Heat team?
What's that?
This Miami Heat team is grittier than the Yankees were back then. The Yankees were superstars. They were kind of blue. They were kind of white collar at that point.
Yeah.
Miami Heat are blue collar. Even their superstar has that blue collar mentality, Jimmy Buckets, because you know what he is? He's not just an offensive star. Like, a lot of stars are usually either really good at offense, really good at defense. Some are good at both. He's one of those guys that's really good at both. And it's almost a blue-collar mentality. It's a grittiness. And this Miami team has that grittiness.
They do.
I don't think they will. They might lose 1 game in Boston going back to Boston, but they are not losing game 6.
But you know what? That would put a lot. If Boston wins, there's a lot of pressure on the Heat then for game 6. And that's when the rec players might get a little shaky.
That's a good point. Matt, let's bring it over to Matt.
Yeah. I mean, I said the same thing about the Leafs that Caleeb said. Now, if we win next one, then we're home for game 6. Then it's in the head. Then we do all the things. And it didn't work. I don't think – I mean, Boston, again, I had Boston winning the series, and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about with a lot of this shit. And I don't understand how the Heat keep winning, but I just don't understand. I can't see them blowing the series.
I went into the series, and if you guys remember correctly, I didn't even pick a winner. I was like, I don't know, because 1 minute I think Miami. I thought it was gonna go 7, but I said I think right now it could be Miami. But 20 minutes from now, you ask me, I'm gonna say Boston, and 20 minutes from then, I'm gonna say Miami again. I couldn't give a definitive answer of who I thought would win. I definitely didn't expect 3-0 Boston. I'm sorry, 3-0 Miami. Having said that, I think game 6. I don't think it goes past game 6. I think I'll be honest, Miami can go out and win in Boston, like they've shown that they can. They can easily, even with momentum starting to switch a little bit. I still think there's momentum didn't go all the way back to Boston. It's still like down 3-1. If anything, it was Miami just not with putting the finishing touches on it. So I tend to think if I was going to bet on this game, which I haven't touched this game. I haven't touched any money on this game just because I haven't felt confident either way. But if I was going to put money on this game, I still have Miami coming out of Game 5 as the Eastern Conference champions. I don't think it goes past Game 5. I definitely don't think it goes past Game 6. Again, there's a little bit different between that Yankee team that lost. They were white collar. They were a little bougie,
Just not going to let it go. Not going to let it go. Gene got to explain it.
Even though I like, and I'll tell you what, if there's a Game 6, here's what they need to do. Here's what the Miami Heat need to do. You want to know what they need to do? They need to bar both Jeter and A-Rod and say, listen, guys, thank you for the support. Please watch from home. They're not allowed in the arena. They're going to have to go in. Let me tell you something. If I ran the arena, if I ran the Heat, I'm like, if we're going in Game 6, they're not allowed here. It's bad juju. They're not allowed in the stadium, in the arena. They can watch from home. That's it. They're out. That's my thing. And I wouldn't blame them for it. So, but all right. So that's going to be a great series. But you know what? Let's get on to the next thing. LeBron mulling his possibility of retirement. We kind of touched on it a little bit. Caleeb, we'll start with you because you kind of went there a little bit before. You don't think this is happening, right?
I'm going to just say it. Look, you guys, you would have a greater chance of spreading chunky peanut butter on a lion's ass than you would for LeBron James to retire.
I'm not doing that.
He's not. He's back next season. Guaranteed, like Charles Barkley says. I promise you, he's coming back.
Now, do we think this was him just being let down from a long series, or was this him trying to send a message to the Laker front office saying,
Laker front office?
Both.
Well,
Yeah.
You know what? I agree with Matt.
Yeah.
Both.
He's exhausted, so tired. They just got swept. But it's also like, hey, I might retire. He's done this a couple times. He did the 1-year deals in Cleveland. Yeah. Just to like kind of, hey guys, do kind of what I want. Better make me happy. Got to get the right team, sign the right player. So it's both. But Caleeb's right. He's coming back.
That's why in Game 4, all of a sudden Kyrie Irving is sitting on the floor. Yeah. That's Jeannie Buss. She's like, do the handshake, do that thing y'all do in front of the camera.
Let me ask you this: hold on a second. My computer's about to die. That wouldn't be good. There we go. I'm back to normal. If you were the Lakers, you only have LeBron for 1 year left, right? Because LeBron's going to go the following year to wherever Bronny goes, right? And it's probably not going to be the Lakers. If you're the Lakers, is it worth you bringing in a guy like because if you're going to bring Kyrie in, you're not bringing Kyrie in a 1 year deal. You're going to bring him on like a 3 or 4 year deal.
Oh, he wants the max. That's
what I'm saying. He's going to want a full term deal. Is it worth bringing him in for LeBron when LeBron's only going to be there the 1 year? Like if you're the Lakers owner, you're Jeannie Buss or you're Rob Pelinka, do you say, you know what? Let's give LeBron whatever he wants. He's not going to be there after next year. No matter what happens, he's not going to be there. The only chance they have to keep him is if they have Bronny, and that's like a 1% chance of happening. Nigel, I see you already answering it. So what do you do if you're the Lakers? Do you say, you know what, LeBron, listen, it's been fun, but maybe you should kind of, go and let's rebuild? What do you do?
Oh, well, first of all, I don't talk to Kyrie or his team. That's the first thing I do. Irving is not, he's staying in Dallas. It is what it is. And I said that on the pod. I'm pretty sure I said that on the pod. He's staying in Dallas, man, no matter what happens. Because the deal he made, that's not a half season type of deal, man. He's staying there for a while, okay? So now moving to this thing, the bigger picture is LeBron has options. Did he say what he said for front office purposes or for his own personal purposes? Yeah, I agree with the boys. I think both. But I also think that is a little bit more 60-40, 70-30 in terms of his just emotion. Did you guys watch after they lost when he came off of the court? The cameraman was literally right in front of his face. And LeBron, being as savvy as he is, he just looked right down the barrel, and you could see the words he wanted to say was just like, oh, come on, man. Like, not right now. That's literally like the what he was giving off. And that's how he feels. Not right now. We put these athletes under so much duress, under such a huge, monumental performance. I mean, whether they were or were not going to win a championship is not the point. The point is that he is the face of this generation. Well, him and Steph, the face of this generation, and he knows what the pressure is, especially playing into this tournament. They make it as far as they can. We know his age. He's 30 years old, yada, yada, yada. We can talk about that for days. This guy just put everything he had on. He missed a pivotal. He had 2 opportunities. One of them was way greater than the other, and he missed to at least prolong a little bit more of that basketball life. It just didn't happen. My guy was exhausted. He's tired. You asked me a question like, is this the end of the road? First of all, I just walked off the court 10 minutes ago. Second of all, maybe, man, because I'm tired. I need to take a shower. I need to go say what's up to family, and then see what's next. I just feel more for the guy because it's just so much. We put these athletes under so much, right? Yeah. I don't think he's going to retire. I agree 1,000% with Caleeb. He's not going to retire. He'll be around. Maybe it's time that we realize he needs to know that he needs to decrease his time on the floor. He just do it, man. It's fine. Nobody expects anything more of you. Nobody. You did everything that you promised to do and some when you're in high school. Like it's bro, you're good. So just like decrease your minutes. And if your dream, not your son's, not Bronny's, if your dream is to play with Bronny, you got to decrease those minutes, know what your role is now, and then wait for Bronny to show up, play one season, get that contract with Cleveland, finish it out, walk away. That's what I think.
So my question is what do the Lakers do then?
Well, they keep him. But I mean, they're gonna sign Hachimura, and yeah, go ahead.
But what if his thing is like, I want to see, I don't want to run it back with the same squad. Get me somebody else, or do the Lakers say do they go out there and do they make a move for? I know you don't want Kyrie, but do they make a move for somebody like that where it's gonna be kind of like selling the future for now?
I don't know if I'm gonna be the guy who says I don't know if LeBron's gonna do that. I don't know if he would if he says we need to switch the team up. I feel like he might be in a different place now where after this tournament, after this playoff run, I feel like he's in a different space where he's like, I don't know if I'm going to win that next chip. I don't know if I'm going to win that next chip. And I feel like he might be okay with it. I use the term very lightly, all the grains of salt. You know what I mean? I think he's just, It is what it is. He runs that contract out. If they end up making another championship run, great. If they don't, I think it's fine. That's just I don't know why. That's what my instinct says, man.
Was this his last best chance at the title?
Yeah, I think so.
Guys?
I'm not going to say no, depending on what happens next year with that team. Because if AD's awesome and healthy, then with LeBron, and then they have whoever they get to be their point guard, I think they have a shot. Because the West this year was very weak. It wasn't strong. So
right.
It was I'm not going to say
so top heavy, but
yeah.
I as much as I don't think Kyrie's the move because I don't think you want to have Kyrie there for the next 4 years. For 1 year, Kyrie would be a guy that would put them right there at the title. I think.
Kyrie he's not doing it for a year though.
Yeah, no, I know that's the thing too. So. But we'll stay tuned. We'll see. We'll report when we find out what he's doing. I think he's staying too. I don't think there's a doubt in my mind. It's really whatever the Lakers really decide to do with building that team around him. I think is what happens with that. But I think they're going to do whatever he asks them to do. For them within reason. I don't think Kyrie is a guy, but like Caleeb said, he's been at those games. Like he's at those games for a reason. You know what I'm saying? You don't usually see. You see it every once in a while. You see ball players go to other games like later, but you don't. But he made it known like. It was a spectacle with him there. Like, Trae Young was at these games, but the cameras didn't focus on that. The cameras focused on Kyrie, though. Yeah. So you could imagine that it would be huge in the news if they were to make that move happen.
Yeah.
But we'll talk actually a little bit more about him in Dallas as well in a little bit. But Lakers determined to re-sign Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura. Good move, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to sign Reeves.
I don't know if they're going to be able to sign Reeves. I think they want to sign Reeves.
That's what I mean. I think he priced –
Doesn't he look like Cameron from First Mueller's Day Off?
Yeah, kind of.
That's Cameron from First Mueller's Day Off.
I think someone's going to come up and offer him like a 4 or 5 year deal with like $80 to $90 million.
Which is going to be an overpayment though, because I think he's one of these guys. Listen, is he a good player? Yeah, but we've seen it time and time again. The Jordan Pooles and like all these players that come and have a really good year out of nowhere, and they get overpaid and they never live up to that contract. And then the guys that in 2 years will be getting bought out of that deal. I'm afraid I don't want, and I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him have a hard time. He's a nice player. I think right where he's at, I think he should take even if it means taking a little bit less. Stay where you're at right now. You have a great chance to learn from King James. Stay here right now. Be part of this situation because you know what? It's also too if you're a young player, You want to be able to tell those stories. Hey, I got to play with LeBron James. I got to play with LeBron.
Yeah, sure, but he can already say that. And also, it's easy to say because I think I read somewhere that the Lakers have like ideally they wanted him at about $50 million on a 4-year deal.
Yeah,
that's completely blown out of the water now. So then you're getting into like the big time luxury tax stuff, which they don't want to be in, but they don't really have an out because they
can afford it. They can afford the thing.
Sure. I just don't know if they will because I think there's going to be some team that because this free agent class is kind of weak, isn't it, this summer?
Yeah, a little. Yeah, but and let's face it, they do.
That just leads to overpayment.
But what I'm hearing is they're trying to get Fred VanVleet over Kyrie Irving but Fred's going to want a shit ton of money because Fred has earned that.
Yeah,
Reeves, you're not going to get him for 50. Reeves is going to be anywhere between 90 to 110 easily, no doubt. And so it's going to be. And then you got Hachimura. You can't sign everybody.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to make a decision. You know what I mean? And they do need a point guard. They do need to bring somebody in. So it's going to be some decision making that Rob Pelinka is going to have to make and figure it out. But Reeves. Absolutely. And I agree with Matt. I already played with LeBron. And it's really hard to tell somebody to take less money because he's one injury away from not getting that $100 million that he could have got had he left. Right. So it's like he's gonna take the money, whoever's gonna pay him. He'd be dumb not to.
Or reality could just strike and maybe he's not the player we thought he was this year. Maybe he could look at Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole had a
Yeah, but Jordan Poole's still getting paid, bro.
No, and that's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying maybe he's going to look at it like, listen, Jordan Poole. If Jordan Poole wouldn't have gotten, say he had till this year, say he was the free agent this year, he wouldn't have gotten that money all of a sudden. Yeah. He had a great year 2 years ago. So that's what I'm kind of agreeing with you guys. That's why if Reeves is going to go sign a big deal, go sign it now because you don't know what next year holds.
Right. And you gotta take it. And it's like because you're only as good as your last game. So right now, Austin is a winner. He can get that money. He don't want to mess around and take less and start playing. And then the teams are like, yeah, you really ain't worth that. You really worth $6 million a year. Right. He's going to have to go where the money is. But that's the issue when you pay players, a lot of people always drop off. Jordan Poole, like you guys are using, he dropped off tremendously. Yep. You were talking Juan Soto on the Padres. They paid him $350 million. He's only, 19, 20 years old?
They haven't signed him.
They haven't signed him yet.
That's what he wants.
Okay.
That's what he wants.
Yeah.
Well, you give him that. It's like that might be why he's saying I'm not playing until you give me my money. But look at your boy Dak in Dallas. Got all that money, and I don't hate Dak, but has it been to the level that the Cowboy fans would have wanted? Especially not last year in that San Francisco game. You know what I mean?
No, not good.
Yeah, so there is a little bit of an issue when you get your money because in basketball it's all guaranteed. So whether you play him or not, he's getting that money. So that's the thing. Because your boy Tatum is up for $318 million Supermax. Jeez,
man. That's so ridiculous.
Insane.
I wish I could be like not so great at my job and get $318 million. You know what I mean? I wish I could be kind of good when it doesn't matter and then get $318 million.
Like you walk in to the job on a Friday and you're just like crushing. It's like, yo, man, everybody's lazy on Fridays. Why you like casual Fridays and like Gene's walking in with a suit and then he works in a warehouse? Like, what's happening? I think the last point for me on this is like, that Reeves had a good sleep last night and then this morning went over to his agents and saw his agent and they both went, because he's gonna make guides, man.
Reeves and his white lawyer. That's what it really.
Yeah, that's
actually.
Yeah, it was actually.
They might even miss the couple. They might even miss a couple. But I'll tell you what. I'm gonna go out on a limb a little bit. If I have the choice of either one, Hachimura or Reeves, if I'm the Lakers, I think I bring him Hachimura before Reeves. He's not going to cost as much, and he's a sniper, and the Lakers need snipers on that team. They needed guys that can shoot from three and shoot the lights out.
And Hachimura can play a thing called defense.
Defense.
Yeah, he was good against
Jokic.
Jokic.
So I got to be honest with you. If I can only pick up one of these guys, I probably go Hachimura. I think you're going to get him cheaper, and I think there's things that he does that fits the Lakers better. The Lakers need him to do more. They're going to miss that 3-point shot if he goes, because LeBron's not hitting 3-pointers like he used to be. He's like I said before, you shoot your legs, and his legs, even from earlier in the year, his legs are not going to be with him as much as they used to be. So you've seen his 3-point shooting kind of take a dip. I think Hachimura is more important to this team going forward. Reeves, fantastic player. Had a great series.
Overpaid somewhere.
But he's gonna get way overpaid. But I go Hachimura. So, and listen, they both got some playoff exposure this year, so it's gonna be beneficial going forward. Like Hachimura was stuck out in Washington. I don't know. I'm sure I don't remember if they made the playoffs with Hachimura there. I'm not sure, but they didn't make a run like this. And then obviously Austin Reeves is young, so this is something that's only going to help them going forward in their careers. And good for Austin Reeves cashing in if he can. And hopefully it's not a fluke. Hopefully it's not just a one and done where he's not a guy that's worth the money later on.
He doesn't strike me as that though.
We'll see.
No,
I mean, like I said,
he plays different than you keep bringing up Jordan Poole, but they're such different players. Where Jordan
I'm not even
like a shooter.
I don't mean the same type of player. I just mean the same scenario where they had a really big year.
Yeah.
And kind of came out of nowhere. But you're right. No, they're totally opposite players.
He's really like Reeves is really good off the ball. He's really good at cuts. He's really good at getting to the hoop. And he can shoot. So I think he's gonna get ducats, as they say.
Mm-hmm. That's
all right. Next, Trae Young trade rumors. Lakers have had internal talks about a hypothetical offer. You know what? Nigel's the one who sent me said, Nigel gave the one that sent me this article, said, "Hey, check this out." So we'll start with Nigel. Money.
It's ridiculous to think of. It's one of those things where you kind of want to see it to happen just to see how it happens, just like how it goes down. Like money aside, it's because I'm not great with the whole money thing. I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that these athletes are making this amount of money that I will never see in my lifetime. I mean, listen, commercial money is great, but it's not that great. I digress. So to see Trae there, how would he be received by the fan base? Because overall, this is like his rating isn't great. You know what I mean? Much like your president down south there, it's not great. So I wonder what he would add. I mean, that trifecta, it can't happen because they'd have to give up. The Lakers would have to give up either Davis or LeBron or something. Like they'd have to give up a marquee, a couple pieces, probably a couple drafts. Like they'd have to unload a lot to get Trae, I think, because that's what Atlanta would want. But to have LeBron on the downswing, but you have, Davis, that trifecta could be nice, man. And if Hachimura is still around too, that could be an interesting mix. I just think at the end of the day, Trae needs to just get out of there. He just needs to get out of Atlanta, man. His time, I think he's done, but he's still got 2 or 3 years, I think, on his contract with Atlanta.
I think it's
something. I don't know exactly.
I thought it was 2. I thought it was next year.
Sure. Whatever it is, he still has multiple years. Yeah, but he still has multiple years. So, I mean, this could all just be out in the ether and just it is what it is, just to kind of maybe – could be his team. Could be his team too, right? Just throwing it out there just to say, hey, our boy's up for the taking, who wants in. But I don't know.
Just to drum up some type of need to get him out of there. Yeah. Is this someone that can – I feel like the Lakers don't make this trade unless he's there to play with LeBron. I mean, LeBron's been a big fan of his. We've heard LeBron talk about him ever since college.
LeBron can't be traded.
No, I know. I get that.
It's in his contract. Like he actually can't be because he signed this 2-year deal. So he can't be traded.
But my thing is this: is it even one of the things that the Lakers maybe wait a year? Is he someone that you want to build your team around? Is really what I was going with it. Like, do you wait till LeBron's out next year and then maybe go after the Trae Young?
No.
Is he somebody, if you're in LA, you want to build your team around? I think I agree. I think he's
Atlanta tried that. Didn't work.
Yeah, and it didn't work. Good point. Caleb?
He can be an incredible offensive player at times.
Yeah.
Defensively, he's a massive liability.
Oh,
and can you guys hear that? Is that loud?
I don't hear anything.
Okay, good.
I hear that.
Construction.
It sounds like those didgeridoos, those
Yeah.
Australia.
Yeah. No, this trade, I mean, Atlanta would love, I think, to get out of that Trae Young deal or Trae Young thing if they can get something back that works. I can't see the Lakers trading Anthony Davis as part of that deal because that doesn't make sense for them.
In Atlanta,
they're not getting better.
I don't think Atlanta would want AD.
No, me neither.
Well, yeah, they got some bigs. I mean, they got some good young pieces. Josh Collins had kind of a bad year, but yeah, I don't even know what that contract would look like. Like, you'd include D'Angelo Russell as part of like a salary match, but
Lakers are definitely definitely Russell, but Atlanta would want Reeves and Hachimura with Russell, like
and a ton of picks.
The Lakers don't have a ton of picks.
No, but
they've won in like 3 years. I think
they'll take it.
I think the next pick. I think the next first rounder they have is the 27 first rounder, I believe. So
the Lakers are probably going to be shit by then, so that might be a good move. But
and that's what makes Kyrie viable, because Kyrie's an unrestricted free agent. So you just pay him and you got him. You know,
Kyrie's better than granted all the off-field shit.
Way better.
Not good, but you still take, I think, Kyrie over.
The problem with Kyrie is his off the court antics. That's the problem.
He doesn't do anything.
I know in the locker room it seems like he's good, but he does a lot of tweets where it's like, dude, common sense says don't tweet that. Like, just common sense says don't tweet that. You know, and that's my thing.
If he comes to LA, LeBron can be like, hey, none of this shit, and he'll be cool.
I agree. I think LeBron can keep him in check, because I think he might have learned that lesson. But then again, I thought that same thing with every other stop that he went to. I thought KD was going to be able to keep him in check.
Yeah.
No,
and that didn't work.
KD's not a leader.
Yeah, he's a backseat guy. He's like, let me just score my points, and But I thought why? But but that's the thing is, I thought him coming to Brooklyn, I thought that's what he was trying to be at that point. I knew he he just didn't do it. Like, he just kind of started like Kyrie run nuts. So I thought he was going to change his ways a little bit. But I'll tell you what, if Kyrie could just not create distractions, he'd be. I think he'd be. I think any team would take him at that point. I think it's the fact that it's not even if you disagree with, which most things he does say most people would disagree with. It's not even about disagreeing with it. I think the biggest problem teams have with it isn't the fact that he says things that people disagree with. It's that it's the distraction that it causes. I think that's the biggest reason. At the end of the day, teams don't really. So you think these rich owners really care about those kind of things? As long as people are still buying tickets, they don't care, and people will still buy tickets, and people will still watch it on TV. So the TV rights go up constantly. There's nothing that any players are going to be able to say or do that's really going to hit it really that hard in the pocketbooks. People are still going to show up to the ball games. It's the distraction in the locker room with all the questions that it creates. That's the problem. Like, that's what I used to say about Tim Tebow is he was a bad quarterback, but he could have been a backup quarterback somewhere. You know why Tim Tebow couldn't be a backup quarterback somewhere? Because he got asked questions like as if he was the starter, like as if he was an all-pro, and he created such a big firestorm wherever he went. And he didn't even say anything negative, but he was such a distraction that it didn't make it worth having him on your ball club. And I feel like that's the same thing with Kyrie. He's such a distraction sometimes. But you know what? We're going to actually talk a little about Kyrie, because he says that he has there's rumors that there's a handshake deal, quote unquote, for him to stay in Dallas. Do we agree with this? Do we think that there was always like that? That was always the hidden okie doke in that trade?
Yeah.
Seems like
because Go ahead, Matt.
Mark Cuban hinted at something similar earlier, and I don't understand why, but I guess they traded a bunch of shit to get him. So they want to double down. And like, I think you said this before, Gene, it wasn't a big sample size there. It didn't work. Like, they were very bad with Luka and Kyrie, but I guess they're hoping they can figure it out, I guess.
It's tough.
I don't know. But it seems logical that there's a deal kind of in place.
With as much as they gave up, you have to think they had to know something long term. Like, even if they talk, I would imagine they knew before the trade even happened. Agree or disagree, Caleb?
Oh no, 1,000%. All that's how you get them to go there. Is that there is a understanding that you're going to give me the supermax that he wanted from Brooklyn. He wants 4 years, $225. So that's more than $50 million a season. Like, insanity.
You can't pay him.
Nigel's shaking his head. Nigel's been quiet this whole topic.
And look, he's just saying, I just want 4 seasons at $225. Jason Tatum getting $318. $318.
That really grinds my gears to think that guy's going to get $318 million.
Yes, he is, because he's young. How old is he? 24, 25?
Yeah, we always overpay young talent. I get it.
And here's what's great about the NBA. These are only 4 and 5 year contracts. This
ain't
like baseball, 10, 15 years, 400 million. Yeah. Nah, this is 4 seasons.
It's nuts. It's nuts, man.
He won't even be 30 when that deal.
But you know what though? I don't blame. Like everyone's like, oh, ticket prices go up. Listen, that's what. If anything, it's just an excuse to raise ticket prices. They are getting their money from the TV rights.
The TV deals. It's not about tickets.
It's not about tickets. Everyone always says, oh, if they sign this guy to all this money, these guys want so much money, the ticket prices go up. No, listen, I'm not saying ticket prices don't go up. They do go up. But it's their excuse to make it seem like, oh, I have to raise the ticket prices. Look what we're paying for the product on the field.
No.
You are not paying any more money, respectively, to what you were paying before. That you get these big TV deals, and the money is there, and they set within the bargaining agreement. It already sets how much they're allowed to pay players. So we already know they're going to get a certain piece of that pie. It has nothing to do with, oh, well, if we pay this guy more, it's going to send ticket prices up. That money's already allotted. It just depends who's going to get it. You know what I mean? $79.5 million per year. Listen, it's $1/3 of $1 billion for 4 years. And guess what? Tatum, he's young enough. He's going to get another one of those that'll probably be worth more money after. So he's going to be, if he stays on this trajectory, is with regards to what I say and think, he's going to be a billionaire athlete. And that's just on the court. And that's just on the court.
Yeah, damn.
Because he's got to have at least another contract. I'm not sure what his first contract was.
He'll at least have another one after, say he does that one. He'll get one more at that, and then it'll start tankering down. But who cares after you done made $750 million at 32? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
so Nazil, you've been quiet on this Kyrie Irving staying in Dallas thing. And I see you're quiet, but I see you simmering.
Go
ahead, Nazil.
All right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you guys your daily dose of MCU. Actually, no, this is not cinematic universe. Well, it kind of ties it. Anyways, of some Marvel analogy here. There was a title from 1988, and it was called Damage Control. Damage Control was introduced in Spider-Man Homecoming, No Way Home with, I'm missing the one in the middle. Sorry, with the Vulture, with Michael Keaton. Far From Home, thank you. So he worked for a company. They didn't really say it outright, but it's Damage Control, which means this is the construction company that comes in and cleans up the mess from the superheroes and supervillains that end up fighting, and then buildings come down or whatever. Mm-hmm. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I feel like that's what you have to have consistently if you have Kyrie Irving on your team. You have to have some damage control. That's why he's so much baggage, man. And to make the amount of obscene money that he can make or that he is going to make, is it worth the damage control? Is it? I mean, that's why he's going to stay where he is in Dallas, right?
I agree.
That's why he's just going to be there, because it's just like they knew what they were getting into. Like you guys have said, they knew what they were getting into. Now it's like you got to pay the man. As for Tatum, I mean, I'm at a loss for words. It doesn't matter how you break it down for me. It doesn't matter how small, quote unquote, you make it, or how manageable or how bite-sized. It's like, for me, the idea that a Tatum can make that much dough and have a coming out party in a game 7 with 55 points, whatever it was, and then just kind of not show up again is asinine. It is crazy, man. So I just shake my head and laugh, because it just, like I said, man, I got to do a lot more commercials, bro.
Where's your $318 million contract, Nigel? Hey?
My agent does the best she can, and I do get paid nice, but it's nothing. It is nothing like.
You know what? Be half good at your job half the time.
Yeah. True. Maybe that's what I'm doing. I'm being too good all the time.
That's the key. All right. So then what's up next? The Kings expected to renew talks with EuroLeague MVP Sasha Vezenkov. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, I apologize, Mr. Sasha, if I'm not. Listen, this is something where the rich getting richer. They already have a great squad. They're young. They're fun to watch. They're and this kid, I think, listen, he's the EuroLeague MVP. I think he only puts them even closer to what they're trying to do. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of a Peja Stojakovic, but maybe better because he's a little bigger. Peja, I think, was 6'6" or 6'7". This kid's 6'9", 17 points a game, 6 rebounds a game. But what is the ramifications for this if this happens? I mean, are we going to see goodbye to Harrison Barnes? What do we think, Nigel? And you try to bring him in now. What do you leave him in Europe the season a little bit?
No, I think you bring him in. I think you bring him and you. This is going to sound like just like very unprofessional, but you figure it out because after seeing the Kings last season, like we only want to see them get better. We only want to see the fight against Golden State. We only want to see them rise in the West. So you do whatever you have to do to bring this kid over here and figure out your roster, man. Figure it out because I think that they have the support of not only Sacramento, but they have the support of the league and the support of fans that are like, oh, it's about time. Like, let's go make the run, man. That's what I say. Just like, go for it.
What do you say, Matt? I mean, and again, this kid was drafted, I think 47th or something like that overall. So you got him late because it was a draft and stash kind of guy. What's your take on this?
He was a Brooklyn pick, right?
I believe he was. Was he Brooklyn? I knew he wasn't their original pick. I thought it was Detroit, maybe. I could be wrong. Or Houston. I forget, but you're right. He wasn't their original pick, and I don't remember where he got it from. But
bring him in. I'd bring him in. He's a good shooter. I haven't seen much. I haven't seen him play. But
I don't think
the time is now. Like Harrison Barnes is a nice piece, but I think you can risk that trade-off.
Agreed.
I'd do it.
Caleb?
Yeah. I mean, look. You gotta have firepower on these teams now to win. It's multiple players that you have to have in these positions, and I think the more that you enhance that or increase your ability to have another sniper out there, somebody else that can do things, that's what you're gonna need. And I think the Kings are right there. They're one or two players away from really becoming a powerhouse in the West because they're so young. All the other teams are older. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be interesting, but I think they have to bring him in. I mean, you see what San Antonio with getting Victor Wembanyama, is that how you say it? But
you can just say Wemby. It's a lot
Wemby,
easier.
yeah. Wemby, it's like you're getting Wemby. It's good to start filling out your squad because it's gonna start, getting more competitive to grab these European players, and European players play way different. None of them play defense. But they're all incredibly sophisticated offensively. Like they can do way more than just one thing on the offensive side, except for Luka. Luka's only scored, you know what I mean? But he's so good at it, it don't matter. I'm a big Luka fan.
I love Luka too. He's one of my favorite players in the league.
Yeah, I think he's phenomenal. But again, so I think it's a smart move for the Kings. They have to make these kinds of moves.
This kid's not so much of a ball passer either. He only had, I think, he averaged like 1 assist a game. So he's not really the ball movement guy either. But he can shoot and he can rebound. And you know what? I think you see with some of these other players, and I want to say, I don't want to say all European, but Manu wasn't European. I get it. He's Argentinian. But you see like a lot of these teams when they bring in this international flavor, they kind of come out of nowhere. You don't even expect them. And they kind of can catch people by surprise a little bit. Manu Ginobili early in his career, Peja Stojakovic with the Kings teams from like the late 90s, early 2000s. Even Tony Kukoc, when he came over and took over, and everyone was like, oh, he's going to be taking over for Jordan. Big shoes to fill. He had a nice little career in Chicago. So you can get these guys that kind of come in. They come in out of nowhere. You don't expect them to really do much. But next thing you know, they're an integral part of that team. Luka came in with a lot of fanfare, so we all knew that Luka was going to be a star. He was a little bit of a different thing. Wemby's obviously a different thing. We all knew him coming in is going to be a star. But this is a kid that was a draft and stash that could really come in here and be an integral piece of the puzzle for the Kings going forward, especially they're at the cusp of doing something even more special. Now you bring you get these guys, and then they finally get that playoff experience. We've said it during the series. Okay, they were one and done this year in the playoffs, right? Because they went up against a team that's been seasoned and been doing this year after year after year. But we're just scratching the surface on what this team's going to be able to do because they're that good, and they're that young, they're that scrappy. Adding another kid from Europe like this is only going to enhance that, I think. So I think what we might have been scared of with the Kings going forward, as far as being a dominant team in the West, I think is only going to be enhanced now, and I think they can be even that more dangerous. So
yep.
All right, and then you know what? This is a little bit in Nigel and Matt's backyard. So we'll start with Nigel. You've been quiet. Let's start with you. It sounds like they're talking to Nash about coming to Toronto to coach. How would you feel about that?
Listen, I'm with it to an extent. I feel like there's goods. There's a lot of good here and not a lot of bad. But the bad, I'll start with the bad first. It's just the idea that because he's Canadian, like just all the Canadian fanfare that goes with it is the kind of baggage that we need to dismiss and not really consider. Because yes, of course he was the head coach. He was also a GM. He was also a player for the Canadian national basketball team, and thank goodness for that. He's fantastic. He'd really helped the program, but also that was history. Let's talk about what he can do for us right now. So I think that he was a product of the unfortunate product of all the drama that happened in the in Netsville, man. Like he actually has a winning record with the Nets. I think it was like 58% or something or whatever the thing is. So he's a winning percentage there, man. So it's like I think he could do some good here. Obviously, he's going to have a ton of fans just because he is Canadian, but I think he could do a lot with what he has or what we have here in Toronto as the Raptors coach, because he had already dealt with the drama. He already dealt with some ego. So, coming here, we don't really have any of that to that extent. So I'd love to see him here. I'm not like we got to get him, because, again, we've talked about this. The coaching market is so dense. There's so many different varieties of coaches. It's really which one fits your system or which one has a system that you want to fit, that you want to have in place with the players that we have. So I'm for it if it happens, for sure.
Is he a guy, because of the importance that he is to Canadian basketball, is he a guy, and I send this to Matt, is he a guy that's going to be harder to fire if it doesn't work out because of that?
Yeah, maybe. Like, and to Nigel's point, like you don't want this just to be like a nice story because he's Canadian. That's fun, but you want if they hire him, you want it to be merit-based. And I don't think he gets enough credit for all the shit he put up with in Brooklyn. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Like Kyrie Irving playing half the games, Kevin Durant hurt, what's-his-face never playing, and been brutal. Like, it's just he put up with a lot of shit, and they still had a winning record. And I know he got he was the fall guy and everyone was kind of on his case, but I'd like to see him get a shot. I think that'd be a great story. So I'd say yes.
Caleb, what do you think? Is this a good fit?
It depends. Like, he just has to prove that he can actually coach.
I'll tell you what, I feel like there's less pressure from just because Toronto's not really there yet. I would imagine the pressure in Toronto would be, and in Canada itself, there'd be a lot of pressure internally from Canada of wanting this to work. But I think league-wide, I don't know if there's that a lot of pressure, because I don't think Toronto's really ready to make a run yet. No. I think they have some pieces to move around.
If Fred leaves, the Toronto fan base is going to know that they are in a rebuilding section. So that would mean you give forgiveness when you know they're rebuilding. So it's the perfect time for Nash to come in, because he's not expected to win. It's like we're building, so he would have a leeway of a minimum of 2 seasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably closer to 3 before the expectations will really get high. The first year will be a honeymoon because it's Steve Nash in Canada. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? So that's it. So the first season is a honeymoon. So I think, Toronto's in a rebuilding phase, and if he's there to help rebuild it and then get his shot to do it, then I think it's great. But you know how these usually go, at least on the American side of the border. What we usually do is let you build up the team, and right before they win, fire you and hire somebody else.
That's what happens. Well, let me ask you this: do they move on if Fred leaves?
He's gonna go.
And if he does, do they kind of tear it down, or do they keep Siakam and OG and rebuild from there?
I think that's more of a retool, because they have the pieces they have aren't like older pieces.
Agreed.
I think you only trade Siakam if you're getting. He's a 25 and what is he? 25,
he's a star.
9 and 7. Yeah. OG seems like the odd man out there, but he's going to get a nice package because he's a second team all defense, and he's a good 3-point shooter, and he could help a lot of teams. Memphis, cough cough. But Fred's going to go. Fred had a bad year last year, but because of
or is that who he is now?
I think he's a better shooter than that, man. He didn't shoot well.
Yeah, he was injured too, right?
Fred. I love Fred. Obviously I always will. It's because he won a championship, undrafted, tough little bugger, tries hard on D. But the market for point guards is thin, so someone who needs one is going to pay him, like the Lakers. And I don't think the Raptors should pay him and let him go and find a different option.
They should give Nigel a heart attack and bring in Kyrie.
Yeah, don't do that. I will forfeit the sport of basketball. I think that I just want to make sure that we really emphasize what Matt said was retooling. I think that's a really great way to put it. I think that's the phase that we're in now, only because last season, even the season before, when it felt like we were rebuilding, we came out on top still. We still were making the playoffs and still making moves. So I think retooling is a great word for what we're going through now. We do have pieces that we can get draft picks for, or like other players that'll fit the system. So I really do like the idea of calling it a retool and getting, Nash in there to soften the blow for what the reaction might be, and let us and just keep being contenders. That's really. Your
front office finds guys that nobody's ever heard of, and they come in and they turn out to be stars. Nobody heard of OG before he was on Toronto. Nobody heard of Pascal Siakam before he was on Toronto. You guys find guys that nobody's ever heard of from other parts of the world. Yep. And plug them in, and so you're right. Even when you were supposed to be rebuilding, you really weren't, because you brought in guys that it seemed like to everybody else that you guys were rebuilding, because we had no idea who the hell these guys were.
Again, shout out to the 905, right? Shout out to Raptors 905, which is their farm program that's in the G League that we had a conversation about earlier in the week. So it's also a product of a great system, right?
Now they did say the only untouchable piece that they have is Scotty Barnes. I remember we covered it a few weeks ago. Scotty Barnes is their only untouchable piece. I would tend to say I would keep Siakam. He's, like you guys said, he's not old. He's still young. I don't know why you'd move him. I would pay that man and build around him. But I can't argue Scotty Barnes obviously has a little – it wasn't as good this year as it was the year before, I felt, but still a quality ball player that's worthy of being on this team. I would not move him either for what you guys are paying him. But we'll see. I don't know if Nash is a bad spot. I don't really hear them in on a lot of the other coaches. That's the thing. Like, you don't hear their name mentioned with the likes of Budenholzer.
Because that means he already has the job.
Good. That's a great point.
But what I will say is, I don't know about. I'm not saying you trade Siakam, but I don't know about building around him. I don't know if he's that guy that you build around, because you build around Giannis, you build around Luka. Like, I mean, I'm not.
That's a fair statement.
I don't know if he's that guy. I think he's a hell of a complementary piece.
That's fair.
Something. But to build around is like, ooh.
He is their best player, though. Would you say?
At minimum, he's got to get a better nickname. Spicy P. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That sounds like a breakfast meal.
It sounds like
at Del
That's
Taco.
A breakfast meal? Spicy P?
It sounds like a breakfast meal at Del Taco or Taco Bell. You know what I mean? Get the Spicy P meal.
It sounds like a dive. It sounds like a dive bar.
Terrible nickname. Terrible.
All right, so on to the next. Sorry, Spicy P. All right, I'm more flustered now.
It even sounds funny when you say it. Sorry,
I've never heard anybody that many times consecutively ever, so that's why I'm like, oh, maybe it is pretty bad.
It sounds like a bad male stripper name. Is really what it sounds like.
Spicy P.
Exactly, that's what it sounds like. And coming to the stage, Spicy P.
Oh man! All right, so Nurse, Atkinson, Griffin, finalists in Bucks coaching search. Who's the best fit here? Caleeb. Which is the one that? Well, no, actually, let me ask you first. Is there a name missing here? Should they be in on somebody else? What do you think?
Who? Say the question again.
So you got Nurse, Atkinson, and Griffin are the finalists for the Bucks job.
Yes.
Is this who do you think they need to be looking at that's not in their finalist group?
They didn't. You said Williams, as in Monty, right?
No, Williams isn't. It's Nurse, Griffin, and Atkinson.
I think they're tripping. I think Monty Williams needs to operate. I think he got a raw deal. I think he's a better coach than what he's being treated.
He was a scapegoat. I think he's a scapegoat. He was a scapegoat in Phoenix.
I really, really do. And I heard the Knicks were no, it wasn't the Knicks. I forgot which team was talking to Mark Jackson. He's another one.
Mark Jackson, I believe, was that the?
Who was that again? Yeah,
I think he was talking. It was the Bucks. I think the Bucks spoke to him.
Yeah, but he's another one that deserves another opportunity. Mark Jackson is a hell of a coach.
Yeah, he got a raw deal. He got the same raw deal that Monty got in Phoenix. And he was forced to call the games, watching the team he built win titles. You know what I mean? That's tough.
So, I think those two should absolutely be brought into more of the coaching thing. I'm not saying that Nick Nurse doesn't deserve it or any of that, but I think those two guys as well.
Matt, out of the three names, who do you pick for? Who's the best fit for Milwaukee in your thoughts? Nurse, Atkinson, or Griffin?
It's all speculative, and you never really know. But I'm going to go with my boy Double N. I think with that team and the way he can adjust on the fly and the options offensively they have there, I think is a perfect match for a Giannis team. And whoever they get as their Middleton replacement, I think that works perfectly.
Is anybody surprised that Charles Lee, who was a Bucks assistant under Budenholzer, who's up for other jobs, is anybody surprised that he's not in the mix for this job? Or do you think you want a fresh start altogether?
I think they would know best. So they've seen.
I don't know if that's true, Matt.
Yeah, true.
They lost the first round.
Yeah. You would like to see him get a point, but or get a shot, but
yeah.
Maybe his name isn't in there because their number one who they built around said no. People
that's probably what it is.
The power these star players have. Like the names are Giannis approved that we're hearing. That's the only reason why you're hearing their names, because those are the guys Giannis said him, or him, right? Anybody else is because Giannis didn't mention them.
I agree. I see. Now here's the thing. I think Griffin is a guy that hasn't done enough yet to be the guy. I think Nurse has. Obviously, he's got a world championship. The one I like in this mix, and then we'll kick it over to Nigel. I like Atkinson. Atkinson overachieved with a bad Nets team before they brought the Stars. And the only reason why he was fired is because the Stars just didn't want to play for him. They didn't even get a chance. He didn't even get a chance to coach Kyrie or KD or any of those guys. They already wanted him out, so he never even had a chance to coach them. He actually overachieved and went to the playoffs with a subpar team the year before they got all these stars. With that, Nigel, that's my take. Is I think it should be Atkinson. But who do you think, Nigel?
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to side with Matt here, but I also feel like I'm leading with my heart and not my instincts. And my heart is Nick Nurse, only because I've seen what he can do with what he had to do, with what he had to deal with. I don't mean that in the bad sense at all. I just mean once the clock came in, right? And he made magic happen, which is fantastic. So I think with Giannis and with the surrounding cast, it does make a ton of sense. I think he would turn them into a defensive juggernaut, which would be huge, because we already know the Lopez. Which Lopez is that? That's Brooke. Yeah. Brooke ended up being a beast before he got injured. Like, he was on trajectory to have another fantastic season defensively. So I think it works in that respect defensively. Offensively, yeah, Nick Nurse has got a mind, man. There's something about Atkinson, though, Gene, and I'm with you. There's something about him that I really like as well. I can't put a finger on it, but maybe all the points that you made. But he'd be my runner-up for sure. So I go Nurse and then Atkinson.
I'll tell you what, Atkinson would be, I think, a great fit for Toronto.
Or that, yeah, sure.
He's got some. They have time to wait, right? And he's shown what he can do with when you don't have all the pieces, that he can still win. And obviously, Toronto is, like you said, retooling, so they're not going to have all the pieces right away. He might be a good guy to make sure that winning culture stays there, and doesn't have a chance to dip down a little bit. He might be a good guy, but again, it looks like Caleeb said, the reason why maybe you're only hearing Nash's name is because Nash is already hired. They're just probably working out the details right now. That could really be what it is. So on to the next one. Oop, we already did that one. Nurse, Vogel, Rivers among the finalists for the Suns job. So Nurse is all over the place. He seems like he's everybody's. I'm surprised. I thought I'd hear Mike Budenholzer's name a lot more than Nick Nurse. It seems like Nick Nurse is really the popular girl at the dance. So Nigel, what do you think about that fit? Who fits better in Phoenix with KD, with D Book, Ayton, everybody that you got there?
Yeah. Again, is this another nurse mix? No, I don't think it is. Oh man, and I just want to see Doc land softly. I just want to see him land softly, but I don't think it's him either, man. I think Doc might have to take a season off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's Doc. I don't think it's Nick. It might be Frank Vogel, man. I don't know. I do know this. They're not going to go with an assistant because those assistants have been there when tragedy happened, when all the things like fell apart and broke apart. Yeah. So I don't think they're going to promote somebody that's within the same camp that has the same system or is going to play off of that system. So they're definitely going to bring in somebody new. So maybe Vogel. I don't know. I'm really at a loss for this one because that team that was so interesting to see what happened when Chris Paul got injured. And then all of a sudden the team just came to life again. So I don't know, because that's the team I want to see play all the time, and I don't know who the right coach is for that.
I'll tell you what. Listen, 3 quality coaches. All of them have titles, right? They all have won championships. Rivers has won back in Boston, and Vogel won with the Lakers. And I know we'll call it the bubble, but they still won the title. Nurse obviously won at Toronto. So I think they're 3 quality coaches. Unfortunately, the guy who really should be the coach there, and Caleb, I'm sure agrees with me, is the guy that won't get that job because he was the guy that got fired from that job. But if you have to make a move on, kind of ask you the same question I asked before, Caleb. Is there a name missing besides obviously Monty Williams isn't going to be the guy, but is there another guy that you'd say, hey, why aren't they interviewing this guy? Why is it just these 3?
So for this particular team, I think Mark Jackson would be the best choice because he'll instill the defense, right? But he knows how to work with shooters. He knows. Yep. He orchestrated Golden State's entire thing. Without him, there's no dynasty, right? So he knows he's got Booker and he's got KD, right? He'll know how to allow them to do what they need to do to get the most out of them. I really think Mark would be fantastic. If it's not Mark, I think Nick Nurse. I think Nick Nurse can do it as well with that team. You know what I mean? And because one thing I'll say about Nick Nurse is he hasn't really he has a title, but he hasn't really got a chance to coach the team up from the beginning and do it his way because he had a mercenary on his team. And without the mercenary, they lose to the Sixers, right? So it's a little and then Vogel, it's the bubble. It's it was only 62 games or something, or 70-something games, and it was all so it's a little different. But I think Mark, who's never won a title, orchestrated one of the greatest dynasties in the history of basketball and created a superstar, not created but really laid the foundation for Steph Curry to become the Steph Curry that we know today. And I think he could do it again with a guy named Devin Booker, who I think is phenomenal. He needs somebody like a Mark Jackson.
Great points all around. Matt, what's your take?
I would push back on the Mark Jackson thing just because I think there's a reason why he hasn't got another coaching job. And
we know what that is.
Well, I don't. Why is it a black thing?
No, not because of hell no, it's not that. It's about his religious stance, right? The reason he got
why.
It's because he's a devout Christian and he didn't agree with the lifestyle of the owner and GM of Golden State.
I never knew that story.
Oh, what? Yes.
I thought it was a little bit of him being a little hard on some of the players.
No,
and they just and he kind of.
It was his religious stance. He's a devout Christian, and when you're fully devout, you don't condone extracurricular lifestyles. Those 2 men enjoy a different lifestyle that Mark doesn't agree with. So he butted heads in that whole thing. And it's kind of hard to disagree with the man that signs your check, right? Yes. And what happens is that gets out to the league. It's just you don't want a moral police on you when you got to pay them. It's I need you to coach to shut the hell up. And what happened was Mark had started a church. So he needed to be preaching on Sundays, and sometimes they would have games, so he would be coming to games late, sometimes leaving because of his church obligation. So that was what happened in Golden State. It was never about whether he was a good coach. It was never about any of that. It was his religious stance. And I really think that's the reason why he has not gotten another job, because a lot of owners ain't trying to have their head coach talking about what they should be doing or putting their church before the team.
Right. I mean, listen, none of us are in the room, so it's hard to like say it's all speculative and what we hear.
Right.
I didn't really. Now that you bring that up, it does ring a bell. I will say this: Mark Jackson. You learn nothing about basketball with him commentating or being a color guy. God, he's the worst.
Yeah,
It's true. It's true.
Like, you know,
I'll give you that, but he's good. I want to push back for 1 second.
You go ahead.
I just want to push back. I want to defend Mark Jackson a little bit, just real quick. The combination though of him and Van Gundy is
Van Gundy's great.
Him and Van Gundy together though, the way they kind of go back and forth. I get it. I'll agree with you. He's not a great color man, but with them two together, they make a pretty dynamic duo on the microphone. So I just want to say that I want to.
You know who else would be great? Van Gundy.
Yeah,
he's a
Van
phenomenal coach, and so is his brother.
Yeah.
But Van Gundy doesn't want to coach though.
He's having fun. He's being the John Madden of basketball.
Yeah,
going back to your point.
Yeah, I just remember hearing on game one. This is like two years ago. He goes, LeBron doesn't get enough credit for his passing. It's like, what? He led the league in assists last year. What the fuck are you talking about? What? And he gets back. Anyways, with the Phoenix situation, it's going to come down to what KD and Booker want because they're going to be heavily involved in this process. And KD's on the record for he loves Nick Nurse. There's that clip that went kind of viral, especially in Canada, about how he loves his in-coaching adjustments, his schemes, and all this stuff. So it's going to come down to what they want. So we'll see.
So Nurse got a job.
I agree. So I kind of agree. I think Nick Nurse, and to be honest with you, I'm a coach. That's the game. Even more than Milwaukee, I think that's the team I want to coach. I think Milwaukee has a couple of question marks. We don't know what's going on with Middleton. Well, we know what Phoenix is.
They would hate me.
Oh, you need some help. You need some help in Phoenix. What are you talking about?
You need to build a bench, but they'll build that bench this offseason. They just need some depth. I mean, those are easier pieces to find. You got the stars though already.
I'd be trading Chris Paul.
Yep.
Me
same.
Too.
Get out.
First thing I do.
There's some talk that he might end up in Chicago. That Chicago probably wants him a little bit.
Your services are no longer needed, sir.
Yep.
Have you seen the way they played with Cameron Payne? I know they still lost the series with Cam Payne, but you saw it. I think it was Nigel the one that really pinpointed originally when we first talked about it. You've seen how fast they move the ball up the court, which Book is going to love more. KD's going to love more of a fast paced. It's not D'Antoni fast paced, but it's at least not like taking forever to get across half court. It's a lot quicker. It's a lot more fast paced. I do think they're better with campaign as well. You don't give the defense time to set up by doing that, but it seemed like the defense was always kind of ready for what they wanted to do. Now you make that a little bit quicker with campaign.
But not only that, man, like you're 100% right. But not only that, it's just like that's the speed these guys want to play the game at. Yeah. Like just play the type of game that you want to play, especially with those stars, man. If they want to run, great. Let me adjust the offense so we do that. So we play transitional basketball. I'm laughing because that's what Nick Nurse does. That's what I'm just realizing now. I'm like, oh yeah, of course we did that. If you watched our tapes, especially leading up to the championship run, that's all we did, man. We were locking it down on defense, and then when it came to a fast break, that was what led to the fast break because our defense was so intense, and we have hands everywhere. Literally, there was hands everywhere deflecting the ball, and then we would go down fast break. If it's not a layup, sometimes it would be flashy dunk. We were getting the shot because we had shooters, right? So that you guys are absolutely right on that, Nick Nurse. Yeah.
If I was Nick Nurse, because if KD loves him, he basically going to get the job. You come in, your first day, you trade Chris Paul, and you bring in Fred VanVleet. Could you imagine Fred with KD and Devin Booker?
Will they be able to fit into the cap? That's the only question.
It don't matter. I'm not worried about
You're
that.
Not a capologist.
That's what I would put on my owner's table. Go figure that out. That's the deal I want.
That'd be sick. That'd be sick. I already got my Phoenix hat, so I'm good. I don't need another one.
That's a
Abby would have a heart attack. Abby's not with us. Abby's a little under the weather today. She's not here with us today. I think she'd sign off on it.
If I was Nick Nurse, that's what I would propose.
There you go.
You're a billionaire. Pay the luxury tax. Don't matter. We're going to get a chip here. Fred VanVleet with those dudes? Come on.
Nice. All right. Next up, Sixers interviewed Frank Vogel for head coaching job.
Sixers is the job I wouldn't want.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say they might have some headaches coming up in the near future because all you really have is Embiid, and I like Maxey. I like who's the other kid? I'm blanking on the name.
Harden?
No, not Harden. Melton.
Oh, yeah.
Melton. They have some nice pieces, but that Harden question mark is going to be a lot to have to deal with. If your Vogel is, I mean, obviously Vogel needs a job. He hasn't had a job in a couple of years, so he'll take wherever he's going to go. I think.
I wouldn't want that.
Is this? I was about to say, is this a job is this a coveted job, Nigel?
No.
We're all kind of saying no.
No, yeah, like I Caleb took the words right out of my mouth, man. This is literally a headline I don't want. This is a job I don't want. I don't want anything to do with this organization. Right now it's bad. Things are bad, and there's no reason, there's no rhyme or reason why it's like that specifically. Like, it's just such a conundrum of what's happening. I mean, you just have egos that are clashing all across the board, and they just don't know how to finish out, man. So I feel for the fans. I mean, even as aggressive as the Philly fans are, I feel for the fans, because that organization really needs to get fixed this summer.
I think it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. If you go there and you win, people say, well, of course you're winning. You have Joel Embiid. You have the MVP. Of course you're winning. You have, Maxey. These are good players. And if you don't win because that it's a little bit of a headache with how these pieces are kind of constructed, and maybe Harden stays there and doesn't do what he needs to do, you'll end up being the scapegoat. Matt, what's your say on it? You muted.
Yeah, I'm muted. Sorry. That's a tough one to get into, because you don't know what Harden's gonna do.
Yeah, that's true.
Want to do, and so while he playoff Harden came back again this year. He was a good player in the regular season, and you kind of need him going forward. But if he tanks his way out or doesn't sign or forces his way to Houston, that's not great. Embiid is a nice guy to build around. Maxey, like you said, are nice, but that's a tricky ship to steer, I think.
It is. It might be on paper, it looks like a great landing spot for a coach, doesn't it? Right? On paper, it looks like, you mean I get to coach Embiid? And that's what I'm saying. It's going to be a damn if you do, damn if you don't. Because if you win, you're never really going to get the credit you should as a coach.
I think,
expectations are very high.
That's what I'm saying, and they shouldn't be.
They definitely should be, because they got a good team. But I'll push back just a little on that one, Gene. I think the coach will get credit, because people have seen Embiid, and they, no matter how good he is, can't win. So if you get the win, it's clearly because of you, because we don't watch him for 6 years not do nothing with as good as he is. You know what I mean? So
can a coach win with the squad, or they need to turn over more than just James Harden? That's the main question.
I think, I agree with Matt. You don't know which Harden you're going to get. If you're going to get James Harden, or you're going to get my boy James Kardashian, who goes for 40 and 12 with his eyes closed. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. But I think,
see, look, first of all, that exasperation, you looking for words. If we're talking about this, we need to move on, because we can't, Philly, nobody can deal with Philly right now. Nobody, man. And it's hard to.
Would we say that they're a disappointment?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So should Doc have been? Was Doc a scapegoat, or did he need to go?
Both.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with both as well.
Yes, he's a scapegoat
failure,
and he needed to go. He's done it too many times where his teams were in control, up 3-1 and lose. So it's not like that just happened in Philly. He's been known for that. He actually has 10 losses that way. And the next coach that has 5. That's in second with 3, So he definitely had to go. But I think it's bigger than just Doc. I think it's those guys. I don't think Harden and Embiid go well together. I don't think Harden goes good with anybody. He hasn't been able to do it at all.
No, he's good when he can just be the guy.
All-Stars, forget All-Stars. How many Hall of Famers has Harden played with? Just think about that. You don't have to answer. It's rhetorical. But the point is, a lot.
I was going to say all of them.
Right. Damn near. And
this generation is playing with the best of the best.
Yeah.
My boy, we have the same initials. Chris Paul, same thing. How many Hall of Famers has he played with?
Yeah.
Right. Like, there's certain people that, for whatever reason, they just don't
he not only played with a lot of Hall of Famers, he played with guys that maybe aren't Hall of Famers now, but at one point we thought they might have been, because he played with Blake Griffin at the beginning when we thought Blake Griffin could be a future Hall of Famer. He was everything at that point. He had DeAndre Jordan was one of the best centers in the league when he had him there. So and they've kind of digressed since then. So he's even if you just think about, you look at the Hall of Fame kind of guys. He's also, take that out of the mix, he's played with a lot of just all NBA kind of guys too.
Right.
So, it's a little bit of a disappointment. And we could also go Westbrook at the same time.
Oh, of course. He was the next one.
Yeah.
He might play with more than anybody.
Yeah. So, all right, one more of basketball, and we'll call it a holiday weekend. Finalists for the Pistons head coaching job. It's not on here, but I'll tell you who. So these aren't really household names. There are a lot of assistants, which makes sense for a team not ready to compete yet. Jaron Collins from the Pelicans, Charles Lee from the Bucks. I'm about to call them the Buccaneers, from the Bucks, and Kevin Ollie from Overtime Elite, a former Overtime Elite coach. I tell you what, Kevin Ollie's won some national titles. I don't think he'd be a bad fit here, but the guy I'd go with Charles Lee. I think, especially if this team is not ready to compete just yet. They got a lot of nice young pieces. I like Ivy. I like Duran. I love Cade Cunningham, although he was hurt a lot this year. I think they have a lot of nice young pieces on this team. They got to add to it now in the draft. They're going to have a chance to add to it. But I like Charles Lee a lot with what he's done as an assistant over in Milwaukee. I'd like to see him be the guy here. Anybody else think that this should be another guy that should be part of this mix for Detroit? Or do you blame them for going with a lesser known guy?
No, it's a hard place to attract a high profile guy, given the state that they're not going to make the playoffs next year. Although they're a couple years away. Players, Cunningham will be back. They got a high draft pick, so it's an intriguing roster. But it's not one where if you're like Nick Nurse or Mike Budenholzer, you're like sick. Can't wait to go live in Detroit for 3 years and coach this team.
Well, you can't drink the water.
Yeah. Can't do a lot of shit in Detroit.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, it all makes sense. I don't know enough about assistant coaches to even have an opinion, but
I think at that point you take the guy with the best pedigree, right? And I think Charles Lee has the best pedigree out of the mix.
Yeah.
So what about you guys down there, Nigel, Caleb?
Yeah, I think pretty much the same thing. I don't know enough of them, but I think that, to your point, Gene, you really are just looking at how they came up or how they've been groomed and like the best stuff that they can take from that time that was served, whether it was through a championship run or just multiple playoff appearances. And if they can do that and bring that knowledge to Detroit, even if they can just appease the fans or the fan base or just like head office and just keep the team running, because you're not going to get that championship Detroit team that we got like over a decade ago, but you can get something that's fun. I mean, it'd be a nice, fun squad to watch every once in a while do something, but they're not really in the mix.
Agreed. Caleb?
Well, you know who's a fantastic coach at raising a team from nothing?
Everybody say it on the count of three, yeah.
Mark Jackson, actually, you know what? Mark Jackson.
That's for my boy Matt. Matt's probably ready to strangle me all this Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson would actually be a good fit. You're right.
Who's better at raising a team from nothing? We didn't even think about Golden State, and you never even mentioned it since they had a guy named Chris Mullin and Tim Hardaway on the team. Okay? Back in the late 80s, early 90s, we've never mentioned that team. And now they're a household name. Mr. Jackson had a major part in that. I think he could do the same in Detroit. And there's not a lot of pressure on him. He don't have to worry about nothing. People don't even watch the games. Don't even get nationally televised games. So
you could go to church and not even show up and it'd be fine.
And here's the thing, too. Unfortunately for Mark Jackson, the same thing that happened in Golden State would probably happen to him in Detroit, though. That's the sad part.
But maybe he's changed his views. Maybe he's more inclusive.
They're more religious up in Detroit, man. So it'd be fine. It would be fine.
No, I don't mean for that. I mean building a team, and just as that team's ready to win, then replacing the coach and putting somebody that's.
Oh, but that's just the way it is. That's the way it is. You put that in your contract. You say, if you fire me and they win after that, you owe me. I need a ring at minimum.
Well, I'll tell you what. If Mark Jackson gets a job, he needs to give Caleb a cut, because Caleb has been doing with every job. He's like Mark Jackson.
Because I think he's a brilliant mind when it comes to like as a coach, like what he's able to do.
He was a floor
That's
general.
all.
Even as a player, he was a floor general.
He's very boring. Matt was 1,000% right about that. Like, you fall asleep.
But even as a player, he was a guy that was a good leader of his teams. He did it with the Indiana Pacers. When he got to Indiana, they weren't supposed to be great. He actually helped them transition to being a great team in the Eastern Conference. With the Knicks, unfortunately he didn't get to stick around much for the Knicks because they needed to make other moves, and he was a casualty of that because they needed to trade something good to get something good back.
Right.
Even the Clippers, he had a nice little run. LA wasn't ready to win yet, but he had a nice little run in LA. But he always was a smart, great IQ, great basketball IQ for a player. So I do think he needs another shot as a coach somewhere. It's unfortunate if that's the reason why. That's an unfortunate reason why. But
that was his decision.
Yeah, no, you're right.
He could have said he could have backed up off of that, but he didn't. So. Well,
I give him a little bit of credit then for sticking to his beliefs. You know what? That says a lot about his character as an individual as well.
That's true.
So
that's true.
But you know what, guys? That's going to do it for today. We're at 2:00 already. Pat, he's making a peace offering with you, Matt. He's putting up a big Blue Jay win for you.
I like it.
He usually puts up the losses on you. He put up a big win for you, Matt.
Yeah.
So there you go. So guys, we're gonna be off Friday. We're gonna be off Monday due to the holidays. So have a fantastic holiday weekend, guys. I don't know if you guys celebrate up there in Canada, but we are celebrating Memorial Day down here in the States. So it's a holiday weekend. So guys, we're gonna take off Friday. We're gonna take off Monday. We'll be back a week from today, Wednesday. So I guess let's go around the horn and give our last words. Matt Hamilton, last words for the week.
American friends, enjoy your holiday. We'll be just doing our regular weekend up here in Canada.
And go Leafs, right? Oh wait,
no. We're going on to Blue Jays. We're stuck with Blue Jays now. Go Blue Jays.
Nigel, last words.
Yeah, same. My American friends, have a fantastic long weekend. Be safe. Give somebody a hug. And you know what? I might buy a hat today.
There you go.
There it is.
Maybe we'll see what it is. You won't be with us next Wednesday, but you'll be with us the following Friday.
Yeah.
So we'll get to find out what it is at that point. Caleeb, last words for the weekend.
Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful holiday weekend. My condolences to all my Canadian friends that don't get a holiday weekend. I hope at minimum it's warm wherever y'all at. And spread love is the Brooklyn way, baby. Let's go.
Guys, have a great weekend, holiday weekend. Happy Memorial Day. Have a great today, an even better Memorial Day weekend, and we will see you on Wednesday.
That's the pop-off for today, folks. Thank you to all of our listeners, as well as our producers, Patty Puddles and Fareed Kameo. And make sure you tune in tomorrow to hear what these hooligans will pop off about next.